bukan ini.
Vice Director for Academic Affairs, Graduate School of Gajah Mada University, Professor Suryo Pramono, distinguished speakers, and all participants. Welcome to this today's Science Mapping Conference.
Official opening of the conference by the Vice Director for Academic Affairs, Gajah Mada University. I am joined by keynote speech by Director General of Science and Technological Resource, and followed by key sessions until 4 o'clock.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's start by singing national anthem Indonesia Raya, followed by Gajah Mada University hymn. All guests and participants stand up.
Indonesia Raya merdeka.
opening speech by Conference Chair. Dr. Priyanko, time is yours.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Director of Graduate School, Manajemen University, Professor from Hotel Institute, Jakarta, Professor Ursula, Professor Lambert, and invited guests, and also all participants and the organizing committee. This morning, we feel glad that we can finally hold the program of Conference on Science Mapping, and I find that this is an introductory note, an introduction about information science. Information science is interdisciplinary science that is currently under discussion among Indonesian scholars, including Ibu Wina, who is now talking about information science to be open in Indonesia. As you know, information science deals with story communication, and then theory development, also information behavior, the user experience, and so on. It's an interdisciplinary science. Today, we start our long-term planning of opening the information science in Indonesia by having a conference on science mapping. And I feel glad that Crystal from Jakarta, Institute of Jakarta, contacted me last year, and we finally agreed about the date and the schedule we have here. While waiting for the Director General, who is now in the medical school, will come very soon, I would like to thanks to all who have conference today and enjoy the life in Yogyakarta. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Ida. We will have an opening remarks and official opening of the conference by the Vice Director for Academic Affairs, Graduate School of Manajemen University, Professor Suryo Purwono.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, praise to Almighty God for blessing us with this great opportunity to share our experience and vision in research and scientific endeavor. First of all, let me, on behalf of Graduate School, Universitas Gadjah Mada, express my gratitude to all of the participants, and I would like to give warm welcome. Conference on Science Mapping is a very good forum for the academicians, researchers, and practitioners in this graduate school to exchange knowledge and information in the broad area of science development. Conference like this one, it is hoped that the group can work more closely together. We do hope that this conference will be useful for you and for your institution. It is great pleasure that we host this conference in graduate. As you know, the Universitas Gadjah Mada is the oldest and the largest state university in Indonesia. It was founded in 1949 and currently has 18 faculties, 69 undergraduate programs, 24 diploma programs, and a graduate school. The university is located in the special region of Yogyakarta, one of the smallest provinces in the country, which has been widely known as the center of Japanese culture. The special region of Yogyakarta focuses its development on three inseparable pillars: education, culture, and tourism. As a tourist destination, Jogja has lots of uniqueness, started from cultures, historical, and ending the conference. Honored guests, organizing committee, and individuals of information and library management on their help making the conference successful. I hope all of you will enjoy the conference. And by saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I obviously open this conference. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning, distinguished Professor Ursula Churchy, postgraduate students, researchers, lecturers, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to ask apology because the Secretary General, Professor Manajemen, could not attend this very important meeting. So I represent today to give speech on policy of Ministry of Research, Technology and Higher Education on science, human resources development and research funding. Next slide. So here I would like to present to you the vision of Ministry of Research, Technology and Higher Education, which are achieving quality higher education and competencies in science, technology and innovation for supporting national competitiveness. Of course, our national competitiveness index is not quite happy, but we are still on the track. Next slide. And our mission is to increase the access, relevancy, and quality of higher education to produce qualified human resources and to improve competencies in science, technology, and innovation for increasing value added of innovative product. Next slide. To increase relevancy, this is our strategic goals. To increase of relevancy, quantity, and quality of human resources with higher education and competency in science, technology, and innovation for national competitiveness. Next slide. So, of course, our strategic target also to increase the quality improvement of learning and students' activities in higher education, quality improvement of institution of science, technology, and higher education. So, Indonesia have at least 8 science institutions, which is non-governmental, non-departmental organizations, and this is like BPPT, LAPAN, and BATAN, which is related to the responsibility for nuclear development, including science for nuclear power plant, increase of relevancy, quality, and quantity of human resources of science, technology, and also it is also very, very expensive. And in US, for example, now Indonesian coffee also very famous. It is also based on the knowledge-based economy. Next slide. Indonesia very lucky because we are very fertile, sangat subur. Not only natural resources, but also the human. Jadi yang subur tidak hanya. If we are talking ASEAN, actually 600 markets in ASEAN, 250 million is Indonesian market, Indonesian population as the market. So again, when we are having huge number of population, the question is whether the quality, the competencies of population is high or low. So if high number of human resources and productive ages is very high qualified human resources of Indonesia, then if, for example, the quality is not quite good, then this will be the burden of development. So therefore, we are developing, trying to increase and enhance curriculum, the teaching learning process, and professors are not productive in doing research, writing, publishing and publication. We will give disincentive, reduce the incentive, for example. I do not know you agree or not. Setuju nggak kalau profesor yang tidak produktif dikurangi insentifnya, gajinya? It is our rank, our total competitiveness index. We are still in the left side of the graph. Okay, next slide. So our priority area of research and innovation, there are at least 7. Actually 7 plus 1. First is the self-sustained improvement of food security and agriculture, how we can have self-sustained production in food and agriculture. Electricity. Now the government are trying to produce or to build at least 35,000 megawatts. Then transportation, we are trying to produce electrical a car, and also trying to have a gas basis car, and of course SMK car productions now are still trying to be developed. Advanced material, for example, like nanotechnology. So we are trying also to put as the priority of research in our ministry. Then defense, of course, defense is very important. We are also trying to have self-sustained production for defense, especially. It is really the real applied science and technology. This is what we like. So therefore, the polytechnic and community college now we are developing, especially in some area. The last one is in Marcella in Ambon. We would like to push to open the study program in relation to the cash and oil. Next slide. So this is our staging and our program from 2013 up to 2022. How the school-based industry started in 2014, then polytechnic-based industry cluster, as I mentioned, and of course this needs applied experts. And now most of our university are mastering on academic skills rather than applied one. Next slide. So this is if we would like to mapping our academic staffs across the country, because when we are talking up to 6 years, 2 sampai 6 tahun, now we cut it to be only 2 months, jadi 2 bulan untuk menjadi profesor. So those who are interested to be professors, please now sekarang adalah musim cari profesor muda. Jadi segera yang belum profesor, sulit sampai kurang lebih 5 bulan yang lalu masih sulit. Mulai 5 bulan yang lalu kita permudah, tapi kualitasnya thousands, that we still have to increase it. Next slide. And in Indonesia actually we have the rule and law that since 2016, lecturers, dosen, is not allowed only have bachelor level. Jadi S1 tidak boleh lagi. So at least should be master degree program holder. Here we are having teaching staff development. Next slide. So establishing national and international networking. This is very important. Mapping human resources. Next slide. We already explained. Next slide. Yeah, this is very important, ladies and gentlemen. When we are talking publication, Indonesian publication is quite relatively low. Why? Because first, I'm interested to just to listen to you. One of the comment from the chief editor of Lancet journal. Lancet is one of the top 5 top journal in medicine. It was based in UK. And then the chief editor around 2 months ago, he came to Jakarta, and what he noticed, after visiting Jakarta, he was impressed by many things. And then he wrote in the journal and Lancet The title of what he wrote, it was published in 27 of February 2016. Jadi baru saja 27 Februari 2016. Judulnya Indonesia Unraveling the Mystery of a Nation. Jadi Indonesia sebuah bangsa dengan misteri yang belum terungkap. Ini menarik ya. Richard Horton, dia kutipannya seperti ini. But the footprint of Indonesia in the journal is overall weak. Jadi journal footprintnya tulisannya jelek, kurang bagus. If you search the word India, then you will find in Lancet publication 2098 entries. If you found the US words, then 1287. China 841. Indonesia you will find 33. Jadi kalau Indonesia cari kata tidak saya itu ketemu 33. Jauh sekali dengan India tadi. Kenapa? Ya saya kira yang 33 jumlah provinsi di Indonesia. Ya sebenarnya tidak ada hubungannya dengan untuk guyonan. Tapi itu yang terjadi. Yang menarik, the most interesting thing, according to the chief editor of Lancet, he said, why is the Indonesian voice so badly underrepresented in the global conversation about health and medical science? Ya, kenapa suaranya tidak begitu terdengar di ilmu pengetahuan ini? The country, yaitu Indonesia, has more of an oral than a written culture. Memiliki budaya ngomong dengar, ya, ngomong lebih dominan daripada nulis. Jadi kalau ngerasani bikin Facebook juara dunia. Nah, ya number 2 or number 3 in the world for using the social media. Itu karena budayanya budaya ngomong dengar. And in this research community is less familiar with the dominant scientific language of English. Komunitas risetnya di sains itu lebih tidak familiar atau less familiar, kurang familiar dengan bahasa scientific English. And the country has tended to look inward rather than outward, so diminishing the importance of publishing in international journal. Jadi dianggap kurang penting untuk publikasi ke internasional. Bahkan ada seorang dosen dari Sumatera Utara kirim surat ke presiden untuk meninjau kembali persyaratan jadi profesor harus publikasi internasional. Katanya, kenapa kok lebih percaya cara syarat itu untuk profesor jurnal internasional daripada jurnal nasional gitu. Karena sebetulnya ilmu ini tidak ada batas tembok sebetulnya. Nah, yang lebih menarik ini, Indonesia has much to tell to the world. Indonesia punya banyak yang untuk bercerita, berbagi ya, ke dunia. Bahkan dia kurung yang tulisannya nanti bisa dicek di jurnal Lancet terbitan dari 27 Februari 2016 baru. Tidak saja to tell, tapi to teach the world, untuk mengajarkan dunia about its experiences, tentang pengalamannya, and the struggle to achieve universal coverage, perjuangannya untuk mencapai universal coverage, challenge the dealing with double burden of diseases, and the gift of astonishing biodiversity. So jadi hadiah dari Tuhan tentang biodiversity, which is very huge in Indonesia. So this can be, developed and be, researched. And yeah, I think you can read further, but I just did one more. The Indonesian voice in medicine and science is too quiet. Jadi memang suaranya tidak terdengar karena tenang seperti Bapak Ibu sekarang tenang. Nah, but then he emphasized, at this time actually the voice of Indonesian in science and technology should be heard, especially when we are trying to do research in science and technology. Next slide. Nah, kalau kita lihat ini, we are looking at the number of international publication in ASEAN. So number 1 is Malaysia, 2012 25,000. Number 2 is Singapore, because Singapore has less lecturers. Number 3 is Thailand. Number 4 is Indonesia. Next slide. Now, after we have policy that to be professor have to publish, also now the PhD program, S3 program should also publish international journal, and we encourage it. Jadi setelah kita dorong itu, maka sekarang Indonesia nomor 1 ini, paling atas. Kenapa nomor 1? Karena yang lebih tinggi sudah kita hilangkan seperti Singapura, Malaysia kita hilangkan. But anyway, this is already increased. This already elevated our rank. Jadi ranking kita sudah naik, karena biasanya juga kita pernah di bawah Vietnam, di bawah Philippines, where we know that Philippines the second language is English, and now already under us. So the production of publication, international peer-reviewed journal publication is already increased. But of course, using collaboration, especially with overseas universities and research, we hope our publication will be increased. Next slide. Yeah, this is what I would like to hope will appear. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Ladies and gentlemen, now we'll start session panel 1 on science mapping with our moderator, Dr. Ermin Indah Wahyuni.
There are still so big hopes, I think, Professor. And then we will talk about the science, how the science develop. I think it is really a topic that attract many attention today, because we are not talk about exclusivity in science more, but we talk about more inclusivity in science. And we have a very expert speakers in this session. The 3 speakers with us who will explore the concept of the science mapping with a very deep. And we have guests from Germany, Professor Ursula Georgi. Welcome to Indonesia, welcome to Universitas Gadjah Mada. Professor Ursula Georgi will present about on science mapping and leaders of scientific. And I also have Professor Dr. Insinyur Sahid Susanto. Good morning, Professor. We will discuss, and Professor will present topic about leaders of sciences. And then the last but not the least, we have the Professor Sulistyo Basuki, very famous in library science. He will present about the role of bibliometrics and science mapping in science development. So I think I have to start directly, and I hope that we can end in 12:30. Yeah. The first speaker is Professor Ursula Georgi, and then I will read the curriculum vitae of her. Professor Ursula Georgi, she studied chemistry actually, yeah, at University of Cologne, and took doctoral degree in 1986, also in study chemistry, yeah. And then working in own company in information management since 1986 until 2000, and then have professor title in information marketing in TH Cologne Technology Art Sciences. And Professor Ursula Georgi is very famous as guest lecturer in several universities in Germany and also around the world, I think. Here, her research field is about customer relationship management, quality and innovation management. She invited in as lecturer and speaks in study information and library science around the world. And the experience in administrative committee work, she is become head of Center of Training and Education for Library and Information Science in THON. She is also a Dean and Vice President for Teaching and Education, and also as President of KIBA. KIBA is the abbreviation of, I think in Germany, but in English is Association of Library, Information Science Education and Academic Studies in Germany. And I think I read here so many lot of publication in library and information sciences. Professor Ursula, I think I will give you 25 until 30 minutes to present your topic on science mapping and leaders of scientific. So, time is yours. In advance.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thank you for your invitation. Thank you for your nice words. I'm very happy to be here again. It's my third time in Indonesia, the second time here in Yogyakarta. And I thank you for your invitation, Takida, and from the university here, and the Goethe Institute. Thank you very much. Yeah, I want to tell you something about science mapping, the history, and I hope it's right. Perhaps it's okay. And the trends, is it a hype, it's art, or is it, a trend? We'll have a look. Yes, for many centuries we have visual descriptions of data of the world they have used to understand and communicate information in novel ways. So, a prime example is cartographic maps of Earth and water. Everybody knows about this. And over the time, geographic maps become more and more detailed, more accurate, and more sophisticated. So, despite these advances, the thirst of exploration and discovery, along with the need of maps to guide our travels, remain undiminished. So, I think it's clear if you have a lot of data, it becomes clear to visualize these data. It must be very slow. But if you have a lot of data, there are a lot of questions. How big is this ocean with this data? And how can we navigate to the useful islands of knowledge and wisdom? And how are knowledge and expertise interlinked on a global scale? We heard about it, about the different countries, the comparison of these countries, and all the activities and the data we create. Everybody creates, every scientist creates a lot of data in his scientific life. And in which areas it is worth investing time, effort, resources, and compassion. There are so many trends, but are these trends future trends, or is it only a hype and then they become bulldogs or something like that? Here you see a map of scientific collaboration between cities. That's the question. Is it science or is it art? At the moment you find a lot of museums, they show science maps like these. And you see there are a lot of interconnection between North America, Europe. You see there are only or no connections between Africa. You see a lot of connections to the Asian countries and so on. But now I show you the second one. It's the same map. It's only colored in a different way. So, is it the same message? You see a lot of different notes of it. It seems to be a totally different map. So, if you are visualizing data, there's something subjective in it. I want to tell you something about the different kinds of publications we have and the different kinds of data which are interesting for science mapping. First, the scientific publications in journals. We heard something about this. We had, before 2000, the vast majority of research papers were published in journals and could only be read by academics if they have paid a subscription as a library. And I think in Germany now we have 15 years open access. We had a change to the turn of the millennium, and so we have more and more open access papers and journals. What is the mass of and the quantity of data we have? One example from PubMed. 2014 we have more than 514,000 new papers in PubMed. It was more than triple about 1990, which were 136,000. And this was more than 100 times more than 1950, with 4,043. And in 1940 we have 153 papers. If you show this, you see this graph, and it's nearly impossible to read or to have an overview about all these papers we published. So, and finally we have a growth of open access. We have a lot of journals which are immediate open access, as the red one. We have the yellow one, they are in a hybrid form, and the dark blue one, which are delayed open access after a few months or a year or something like that. So, we have a lot of benefits by open access publishing. We have an increased visibility, usage and impact of the research to everybody, because everybody can read all these publications. You must not be a university or a student or professor or something like that. Everyone who is interested in materials can read now all this paper online and is not dependent to go to a library. We have more efficient dissemination compared with traditional publishing models. We have a retention of some of all of the copyrights, contribution to societal good by providing scholarly content to be a global audience. That's very important, and we heard this morning about this. We have a rigor or traditional peer review before publication, and we have an ongoing feedback through social media. That's very important because they discuss all the papers, or a lot of these papers. The scientists are interconnected in different social media like ResearchNet and so on and so on. But what's about the quality of the data we have? Possibly there are some journals that are black sheep. Because if I decide, or you decide, I want to open, sorry, I want to do an open access journal, we can do it. We can do it tomorrow. So, but what about our quality? So, there are some signals about publishers about it's absent on the journal's website. Oh, if there are some spamming or other advertising is intrusive about these journals. That the instructions to the author's information is not available or right. Information on peer reviewed is unclear, and so on and so on. Publisher has a negative reputation. So, the role of libraries is to show the quality open access journals. Here's one example. So on the library's website, you find open access journals with impact factors, the Thomson Reuters open access journal list, and so on, directory of open access journals, DOLJ, and so on. That's important for everybody, for the students, for the scientists, and so on. Our students normally, they look for Wikipedia, they look for internet resources at Google and so on. And so it's very important that they have an orientation that it's quality open access and good information. But publishing in journals, that's not all. Conference proceeding as scientific publications. We have a fast-changing environment of science, technology, so on. And in computer science and informatics, top-tier conferences are highly respected publication venues. And they have a journal equivalent status. Because we can't wait 1 year or 1.5 years till it is a publication in a journal. They need it immediately. So these conferences also have a clear international scope. They have an international scientific program committee, include leading rising star researchers from all over the world with membership in editorial boards and top journals in the field. So the attendance rates of conferences are known by the community. It's transparent, and the number of available publications slot varies between 25 to 50, and they have an acceptance rate between 10% and 25%. So we also have to recognize these kind of publications. Next, and I think that's a very increasing part, that's the research data. One more thing. And I think in Germany, it's now necessary that our researchers publicate their research data if they get money from governmental or organization from the European Commission and so on. And this kind of research data, they are very, very from different kinds. These are documents like Word, laboratory notebooks, field notebooks. They have questionnaires, transcripts, audio tapes, photos, proteins, spectra, test responses, slides, and so on. And we have also collections of digital objects. We have database contents, models, algorithms, contents of the application, methodologies and workflows, standing operating procedures and protocols. So that's very difficult to organize all these data. And therefore we have a lot of research data repositories, and it's still increasing. Here you find, say, from the Area3 data.org, and they have now in February more than, I think, 500 of these repositories. Here from the 3TU data center, there's one example what they are doing and what's a part of it. And that's an archive of this research data. And a lot of libraries, I think, are responsible for the research data in future of their researchers. They have, because that's a very big capital for them. One example from Cambridge, they have the Digital Curation Center. They have an interactive tool to help the researchers to create data management plans that is called DMP Online. And they record all major UK European funder requirements, and it automatically tailors the data management plan template, and so on. And the data plans, they're easily exportable to the desired file, Word, Excel, and so on. And so they can share all the information with other researchers around the world. So a fourth part are the patterns. They're more and more important. 70 to 80% of the patent information is never published anywhere else. And they cover every field of technology. They have a standardized format worldwide, that's wonderful. And they are classified to the technical field by the International Patent Classification. And they provide examples of applicability. That's very important too. We heard about this morning about the practice-oriented, the applied sciences, and normally we find in patents all these applied aspects. The number of patents is growing on. Most of the patents now are coming from China. You see here the most important from the Japan, USA, China, and they have it's a lot of paper. If you see in 2013 we have more than 2.5 million patent applications. The office has granted more than 1 million patents around the world, and the top 5 patenting countries were China, US, Japan, Korea, and the European Patent Office, most of them coming from Germany, Great Britain, and France. And we have nearly 10 million patents in force. And all the information from patent not in force are also relevant for us, for researchers, because it's know-how like publications. But normally they are not. Here you find a science map, a patent map. There's 466 technology categories and 35 technologies area, and you can imagine how complex are these interstitials you have and the interconnections between the different categories and areas. And here you see the technology categories of Samsung. And on the next slides you see them from DuPont. And they have, I think, nearly the same fields, but in a total different context. And it's very interesting to see these patterns and compare the main fields of research of these companies. And that could be also interesting for many researchers at universities and other research institutes. So we have also a trend about the academic patenting, not also from companies. In Europe we have an increasing protecting of the inventions at universities. I think the trend began in 1980 in the US. They started the Bayh-Dole Act, which granted recipients of federal R&D funds the right to patent inventions and license them to firms. And at the end of the 19th, they have an emulating the US policy change to many other countries and to allow research institutions to file, own and license their own IP generated with government research funds. In Austria, Denmark, Germany, Japan, it was the main effect that we have the abolishment of the so-called professor's privilege that granted academics the right to own patents. So now these rights are transferred to the university, while academic inventors are given a share to the royalty revenue in exchange. So they have established many technology transfer offices and so on to license their patents. Here you see the growth of the academic patenting from the US universities and the non-US university. And this one is the findings at the European Patent Office by German research organizations, from public research institutes, universities, and research organizations like we have Fraunhofer, Max Planck, and so on. And you can exactly see when it started in 1995, the growth are continuing. So, and we have the social media, a big part of data and the metrics, because the use of the social media changed the consideration of a scholarly article, social media presence, alongside traditional methods like impact citation. That's very important to know, but I think there is changing a lot, and possibly it's also a chance for countries like Indonesia to recognize these new trends like metrics. So we have bookmarks, we have links, we have blog posts, tweets, and so on. And it's a possibility to evaluate, everybody can evaluate a paper written in an open access journal. So it's a method, it's not an alternative, but I think it's a method to complete a picture around a particular scholarly work and publications. And so these social media activities are possibly an indicator of a publication's scholarly significance. We have a lot of tools and so on, and here are some examples. We have the academia.edu, it's a platform for academics to share their research papers. We have the altmetric.com, so we have lot of, they seek to track and analyze the online activity around scholarly literature. We have CiteYouLike, it's a citation management tool, but it does track citation. It allows users to review articles they have read. That's very interesting. That's a new kind of review management for articles. We have Impact Story, the BLUS Impact Explorer, very famous, and the ResearchGate, where many of researchers, they use it at their platform, their social media, to share publications, to share information, and so on. And it becomes more and more an automatic instrument. So, what's the role of the librarian and the role of the libraries? Here you find very complex science map, and again the question, is it a hype or is it a trend? In this map, there were 20 million scientific and technical articles and 2 million patents from 1996 to 2011. Nobody can analyze this quantity of data in detail. But it's possible to cluster these data. So these maps help to identify main research areas. You can get an idea of the size of different areas, like shown in the pattern map I showed some minutes before. And they get an idea about the relation between the different areas. If you think at my first map, you have the connections between the cities, where are the connections between which cities, and so on. And you get an overview about the scientific collaboration between universities, researcher, and so on. And you get an idea about scientific clusters they are growing or descending, and so on. That's a map from the University of Leiden, the Center for Scientific and Technology Studies. Here show what kind of connections you find if you have databases like Web of Science and Scopus. There are exactly these possibilities: citation network or publication, co-authorship networks of authors. They are always working together, the same authors. If you have a co-citation network of publications, authors, and journals, and you have a bibliographic coupling network of publications and the occurrence network of terms. That's also very interesting and necessary. If you are looking for funding for money from the European Commission and so on, it's very important to use the right wording, the right words, because they want, if you use science mapping, if there's something, or by bibliometric maps, it's important to know about what they want in their application. So it's very easy. The Leiden University, they have the BOS, it's a software tool for constructing and visualizing bibliometric networks. So everybody can do this. You can sign there and you can use your databases and construct such maps. So now, since the question, what's the role of the librarian? Here you see one co-authorship map of universities. That's a result of the BOS viewer. Or the next one, you see map about citation network. You can see the interconnections between some authors. We have 4 teams in 4 areas, and so you see some connections from right to left, from up and down, and so on. And you can see when an author first applied in such citation network, and so on and so on. Yeah, the role of the librarian. What should he know? He must have the strengths, weaknesses, and limitations of existing classifications in bibliometric science mapping context. No. The properties of a good classification should have in the science mapping context. The properties a good classification should have in the metrics context. The development new classification at the paper level that takes into account in the nature, methods, objects of disciplines. Also the citation characteristics and the dynamically evolving classifications that can capture data from till here, you mean until today, and how to classify interdisciplinary papers and journals. That's a lot of very special know-how you need. In the last weeks we find a lot of blogs and so on about skills for tomorrow librarians, and here 11 top skills from Schwarz. He said one of the very important aspects and skills the librarian need is data analysis, but you also see advocacy, collaboration, that's very, very important. The communication, creativity, innovation, I think that's important. The critical thinking, flexibility, leadership, marketing, project management, and technological expertise. And from that, she said, a study with IM shows that by 2020 employers, it's for small and medium-sized enterprises, they expect their record and information manager to be competent in risk management, with security and data privacy skills a priority for 50%. They must also show competence in content and information management, across a wide range of formats and platforms and in data analytics. And instead of focusing only on the regular compliance and process, records and information, professionals should become more passionate about proactively helping people to do their jobs. They must know what the researchers and so on and the employers, what they need for their jobs, for their work. So last but not least, I think it was a blog entrance from Diane Payton from CIE from March this year, 5 technical skills information professionals should learn: sorting out social media, creating the cloud, making makerspaces, modeling mobile apps, and dealing with data. It is very general, but I think it's very important to be to have all these capacities and all these skills. So my conclusion: science mapping is more than visualizing of data. It's not a privilege of librarians, because computer scientists are the competitors of librarians. And in Germany we have a trend since 10 years, I think, bigger parts of the original information science are done by computer scientists and not longer by information specialists. So beware. And we have a lot of librarians who are not technophiles but traditional librarians. I call them the book lovers. And many of scientific librarians have a study degree in humanities, so in Germany, so they are not very familiar with IT. So what we need is critical thinking librarians and information managers, future-oriented strategies in library, with an innovation strategy, systematic innovation strategy, librarians and information managers recognizing future business fields early to keep pace with fast-changing markets, and further education that allows participants to draft new strategy and approaches to solutions at a scientific level to meet actual challenges and problems in their everyday work, and to expand their horizons in accordance with the philosophy of lifelong learning. And possibly we need a specialization in librarianship. For example, specialized master degree programs like data librarian or certificate courses in all these aspects. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. You can back into this time. Okay, we have all heard about a very insightful presentation, I think, and also very challenges for librarian. I said from the conclusion of Professor Ursula that science mapping is more than visualization of data, but more than that, we need critical thinking of information manager. I think this statement, I hope that provoke you to discuss detail more, deeper about this statement. And we are very lucky here because we have Listiana that will translate the summary, the very critical point to you all to make it you prepare for our question and answer session. Please. Yes, you can take that process.
Selamat siang, selamat pagi. Pagi ini saya akan mencoba merangkum beberapa poin yang sudah dijelaskan oleh Profesor Ursula. Yang pertama adalah bahwa Profesor Ursula menerangkan betapa bagaimana banyaknya open access journals atau banyaknya jurnal ilmiah yang memberikan akses terbuka pada pengguna, memberikan banyak kelebihan seperti meningkatnya visibilitas dan penggunaan manajemen informasi, seperti berbagai situs untuk mengukur kualitas jurnal ilmiah yang saudara-saudara dapat saksikan tadi di salah satu slide, di mana melalui situs-situs tersebut Anda dapat menilai jurnal mana yang baik atau tidak. Selain itu, Profesor Ursula juga menerangkan berbagai syarat tingkat seleksi publikasi yang tinggi. Berbagai perkembangan yang lain dalam dunia manajemen informasi dapat dilihat dari Cambridge, yaitu dengan adanya pusat akurasi digital yang merupakan alat interaktif yang dapat membantu peneliti untuk membuat rencana manajemen data dan bahkan merekam berbagai kebutuhan peneliti dan penyedia dana sehingga dapat membuat template rencana yang sesuai kebutuhan. Selain itu, Profesor Ursula juga menjelaskan mengenai pentingnya paten, terutama dari sisi penerapan dan fungsionalitas. Maka dari itu, paten mempunyai standar dan klasifikasi internasional. Banyaknya penemuan lisensi hak paten yang diberikan membuat universitas dan berbagai pusat penelitian semakin melindungi penemuan-penemuan yang mereka hasilkan dan memunculkan berbagai kebijakan. Profesor Ursula menyebutkan bahwa mesti dulu hak kepemilikan atau hak paten suatu penemuan dimiliki oleh penemu. Saat ini, setelah berbagai kebijakan mengenai hak paten, banyak di berbagai negara diberlakukan bahwa suatu hasil penemuan hak patennya telah dipindah pada pihak universitas atau pusat penelitian, sedangkan peneliti hanya diberikan royalti. Dalam menjembatani sisi penemuan ilmiah dan sisi komersialisasi, banyak universitas dan pusat penelitian yang memiliki pusat transfer teknologi, yaitu kantor yang mengurusi masalah lisensi paten dan kontrak penelitian antara peneliti dan berbagai perusahaan. Aspek ketiga yang dijelaskan adalah media sosial, karena media sosial adalah sebuah dampak. Untuk itu terdapat sebuah alat yang disebut Altmetrics, yaitu sebuah metode untuk melengkapi sebuah gambaran tentang publikasi ilmiah tertentu. Berikutnya, dalam konteks science mapping atau pemetaan ilmiah, Profesor Ursula menjelaskan tentang peta bibliometris yang dapat membantu merepresentasikan hubungan antar berbagai bidang ilmu dalam penelitian teknikal atau ilmiah yang dapat bertujuan untuk mengetahui area utama penelitian, mengetahui gambaran ukuran penelitian, mengetahui gambaran hubungan antar area penelitian, mengetahui gambaran kolaborasi ilmiah antar pengarang, dan mengetahui gambaran kelompok ilmiah. Untuk mendapatkan sebuah peta bibliometris, Profesor Ursula menunjukkan sebuah software yang dapat Anda gunakan, yaitu VOS Viewer yang dapat Anda lihat dalam slide sebelumnya. Pada akhirnya, Profesor Ursula menjelaskan berbagai peran pustakawan dan pentingnya peran pustakawan dalam perkembangan dunia manajemen informasi. Yang pertama, pustakawan harus memiliki cara berpikir atau kerangka yang kritis, memiliki strategi yang berjangka panjang, awas dan sadar dengan perkembangan bidang bisnis dan pasar yang cepat, memiliki pendidikan lebih lanjut yang memungkinkan pustakawan membuat strategi dan pendekatan baru pada tingkat ilmiah untuk menyelesaikan masalah dan menghadapi tantangan dalam pekerjaan sehari-hari, serta memperluas pandangan mereka mengenai pembelajaran sebelumnya. Selain itu, pustakawan harus memiliki keterampilan privasi data dan keamanan, manajemen informasi, dan konten dalam berbagai format dan platform, serta proaktif dan bersedia membantu para pemuda. Sekian, terima kasih.
Thank you. Thanks for that. Keep your notes complex and complicated, and you can modify and provoke the answer, the questions, yeah, in our question and answer session. And I will continue with the second speaker, Professor Dr. Insinyur Syahid Susanto, that will present a topic about leaders of sciences. But before I will introduce Professor to you, now Professor Dr. Insinyur Syahid Susanto is the chairman of Master Program of Higher Education Management in Graduate School of UGM. And the academic background and career is he took the doctoral program in Faculty of Agriculture, Kyoto University, Japan in 1991. He is also guest lecturer on Higher Education Management, Hiroshima University, Japan in 2013, and he at that time also part of short training in higher education, Kassel University in Germany, and in 1997 until 2000, he was the team member of Autonomous University Preparation for Higher Education in Ministry of Education in Indonesia. And please, Professor, you have 25 until 30 minutes to present your idea. Time is yours.
multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary. In our mind, my mind, science mapping is kind of combination and classification, combination of classification and visualization. And then also this map can build and represent the relationship among and between million documents, million scientific and medical articles, and million articles. And then it can be created by clustering the document using a combination of citation analysis and text mining. With this map then we can see the portraits of the structure and dynamic of science and technology in a highly detailed level. Then, with applying overlay method, the map helps us to investigating increasing number of scientific development and organizations that do not fit within traditional disciplinary categories. Next, please. This is just an example of mapping structure of science in computer science. So we can see this map, and then we can, with this map, can make interpretation with the nature of at least the core of the science, and then we can, from this point, we can develop how the future we can develop the science. Next, please. Now let's just remind you what's the multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, and transdisciplinary. The end of this scene, you can see the keyword. Multidisciplinary is more, goes with entity. And interdisciplinary goes with interactive, and transdisciplinary dealing with holistic approach. Next, please. In reality, in the last 2 decades, science is becoming ever more interdisciplinary. It is very important that we have to see the map of science, and then it goes to make collaboration to make more interdisciplinary approach. This finding suggests that science is indeed becoming more interdisciplinary, but in small step, drawing mainly from neighboring field and only modestly increasing the connection to distant cognitive areas. The combination of metric and overlay science map provides general benchmark for future and studies of interdisciplinary research characteristics. Now come to overlay of the map science, just an example. Next, please. This is, I got from the internet, an example of global overlay map of science with 4 factors. You know that, as the presenters, previous presenters, that the factors can be used to make map as varies, and we can choose how many factors can be applied. Next, please. Then we make 18 factors, and then we will see another different maps. Next, please. And this is make us, I think, the importance of maps in the specific scientific institution. For example, in the University of Amsterdam, you can see the map that the point is more in biology and meteorology. And then you can see also the other university, Georgia Technology University, and also London School of Economy. You can see in EMPL, social science is more make uniqueness of the university. So the point is in in one unit and then not scattered and be compared with other universities. Next please. Now let's see how to apply the knowledge of science, right? To have a relationship with the leadership. Of course, we have to know what is leadership and concept of leadership. Give us some various definition. But the important thing here is how to be our university is the academic institution to be a leader in scientific or in direction of scientific things. Next please. This is the concept of leadership. I think I don't want to go into detail. Next. And then also we understand the leader and manager. Of course, the manager of university is in their work should be direct, more indirect, making direction that with the map, making a correlation between the map and the science, to have to make direction how the science should be more important to be developed for the institution. Next please. I don't want to say this. Next please. Next. Then we come to dimension of academic leadership. Of course, higher education institution should supposed to be a leader, and then we have to know also how to develop the concept of leader and the concept of manager, and then etc. etc. And here is the importance of leadership success and leadership style based on the map, based on the science of the map of the university. Unfortunately, that my university at UGM, we don't have the map like this. So with this conference, I think we have a new idea to make a map like this. This is just to share with you the scope of academic activity, and then also what's different tasks between executive and student personal administration. Next please. Next please, I want to go there. Yeah, we have to understand that there are different things regarding academic leader and administrative leader. So academic leader is more developed in their thinking and also in their task is more developing science than developing the managing of the resources. Next please. Next please. Next. And how to lead the institution, especially in higher education. We have to choose, we have to make the best leadership style. So then we can go to what we are thinking based on the map of the future of science we have to go. Next please. Next. This is just the definition of effective leader and also how to creating a culture of leadership. Next please. Now this I want to share more with this science leader in this session. First is I started with my sense making, using the diagnosing the situation, in our university mostly. Higher education institution in Indonesia is relatively administrative-based management than performance-based management. And then in structural leader is relatively centralistic and bureaucratic-based management than sportive leader-based management. For academic staff, it's more teaching-based management than scientific leader-based management. And the role of academic staff and scientific staff is unbalanced. I mean, unbalanced between higher education, institution leadership, and scientific leadership. Next, please. And then it goes to what is the issue? What and who is the scientific leadership? What and who is the role of scientific leadership in improving higher education institution? And then how to develop the scientific leadership for higher education institution in Indonesia. Next, please. This is what we are discussed with our case. Who is the scientific leadership? First, of course, is academic staff who educate students to develop science and technology. And they have peers and followers in their field. And then they lead study program, laboratory, studio, research center, etc. And of course, producing scientific performance and enhancing higher education institution in the context of academic reputation. Next, please. And then let's see what is the staff, academic staff as a scientific leader. First we can see from the function. The function of the scientific leader should be independent, but follows bureaucratic system of higher education, independent but must be follows the bureaucratic system. As a manager, of course, yes, they have to be a scientific manager. And as a leader, they have to lead member of in the same field. And then as higher education governance, higher education institution governance, they have to lead study program, laboratory, studio, research, etc. And then as research, they have to lead research team. This is what we think regarding the academic staff as a scientific leader. Next, please. And then we can also make a relationship of the sportive leader and scientific leader. There are some types of sportive leadership behavior, so we can learn what types of sportive leader we know here in our university. Next, please. And then also how to sportive leadership should be effective in their doing leaders. Next, please. I think I will skip this. Next. This is you can see this is sportive and sportive, non-sportive communication. So the style of academic leader, the style of administrative leaders using the common style now should be changed in the sportive leaders. This is, you can see the different, how the leader should be sportive and how the leader should be sportive style. Next, please. Then you can think how to enhance and let some our questions. Next, this is just a concept how to enhance the academic quality of higher education institution with adopting or with using the academic staff and as part of the element of the academic quality program as to be as a central development of scientific leaders. So I mean in this context is the teacher, academic teacher must become a scientific leader. And then with scientific leader, we can develop the science based on the map that we want to go. Next, please. This is some of the challenges of the scientist leader. Next, we discuss this. Next. This is an example in our faculties. I joined this faculty of agriculture and engineering. Belong to the department agriculture and engineering. In this department, we have staff laboratory. This is just an example of laboratory that we have to define what's the scientific, what's the field that we have to go. So each person in that laboratory should follow this compromise of science that we want to develop, and then each person should take place in each of the science that already compromised. For example, in post-harvest engineering, and then the people there should be, there is the field must be studied regarding the post-harvest process engineering, regarding the unit operation of food and agriculture product processing, green engineering, etc. And then also in food engineering, we should develop kind of science like this example. Next, please. Now come to the closing remark. First, science mapping is a combination of classification and visualization. Used in science policy and research management. I mean, the science mapping can be used in science policy and research management. And then also can give the potential benefit of using overlay maps for research policy. The overlay maps is also to explore complementarities and possible cooperation. For higher education institution, the map can be used for enhancing a science excellence through improving quality of academic leadership, supportive leader, and scientific leader. The concept of enhancing the academic quality of higher education institution with supportive and scientific leader as part of the element is proposed. And then again is an example of best practicing in developing leader of science and laboratory skill is presented. I think that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor. Maybe Mbak Distiana, you will add some information. Actually, you already have the notes here, but make it clear.
Baik, yang pertama Bapak Fahid menjelaskan mengenai science mapping yang merupakan sebuah visualisasi dan kombinasi yang dapat menggambarkan struktur dan dinamika tentang ilmu dan teknologi secara detail. Science mapping ini terutama berguna untuk menekankan adanya saling keterhubungan antar penelitian dan berbagai bidang ilmu. Kemudian dijelaskan bagaimana science mapping atau pemetaan ilmu dapat membantu pemimpin dalam bidang akademik untuk menerapkan pemetaan ilmu itu dalam bidang kebijakan penelitian, termasuk dalam bidang kepemimpinan. Terutama dalam bidang kepemimpinan, Bapak Said menjelaskan bagaimana seorang pemimpin didefinisikan sebagai seseorang yang mempengaruhi, membantu dan mengarahkan anggota timnya untuk mencapai sebuah tujuan tertentu. Kemudian dijelaskan pula mengenai berbagai macam konsep dan definisi bagaimana seorang pemimpin berbeda dengan seorang manajer, karena manajer dapat mengatur dan memanipulasi berbagai macam aktivitas seperti inventories, budget planning dan sebagainya, sementara pemimpin harus anggota atau anggota tim harus dipimpin, tidak seperti barang yang dapat diatur. Selain itu, Bapak saya menjelaskan mengenai bagaimana sebuah komunikasi yang baik yang dapat dilakukan oleh seorang pemimpin akademik, yaitu melakukan manajemen, promosi dan pengajaran serta metode pembelajaran yang baik, membangun komunikasi dan hubungan dengan pihak luar serta asosiasi profesional, dan menjunjung persamaan hak dan keberagaman dalam dunia akademik yang dimana yang menjadi pemimpin. Pemimpin akademik dapat dibagi dalam berbagai tim, yaitu pertama dalam sebuah tim penelitian, kedua sebagai sebuah pemimpin staf akademik lain, ketiga sebagai pemimpin para mahasiswanya, yang terakhir sebagai pemimpin rekan ilmuwan. Selain itu, pemimpin yang baik dapat memecahkan masalah dengan menggambarkan apa yang ia inginkan dengan jelas dan deskriptif, konsisten, memberi berbagai dukungan, merupakan pendengar yang baik dan spesifik dalam menentukan apa yang ia inginkan. Selain itu, dalam bagian yang dapat meningkatkan kualitas pemimpin, Bapak Said menjelaskan tentang bagaimana pemimpin harus dapat menentukan prioritas dan visi, menilai lingkungan, membangun struktur akademik yang baik, dan memformulasikan strategi sehingga akhirnya dapat menghasilkan pengetahuan yang baru dan mendidik para mahasiswanya. Selain itu disebutkan juga bagaimana pada akhirnya dalam bagian tersebut sangatlah penting untuk dilakukan sebuah pelayanan terhadap masyarakat atau kontribusi yang dapat dilakukan pada masyarakat. Dalam kesimpulannya, sekali lagi dijelaskan tentang bagaimana science mapping adalah kombinasi dari sebuah klasifikasi dan visualisasi yang dapat digunakan dalam kebijakan ilmiah dan manajemen penelitian, serta dapat digunakan untuk meningkatkan kualitas pemimpin akademik, dan dapat menjadi contoh untuk praktek yang baik dalam mengembangkan sifat kepemimpinan dalam berbagai konteks akademik. Sekian, terima kasih.
Thank you very much, we have already two speakers before. Previously, we talked about on science mapping and leaders of scientific. The second speaker talked about leaders of sciences, and it comes now the turn of Professor Sulistyo Basuki that will present the role of bibliometrics and science mapping in science development. But before I will introduce Professor Sulistyo Basuki. Is very famous in the librarian science. Actually, it is not necessary to introduce him, but here I saw very interesting the curriculum vitae, how Profesor Sulistyo Basuki very diligent, sangat rajin ya bersekolah in their study ya. Started in 1960 until 1974. He was studied in University of Indonesia in library science from at that time new bachelor until bachelor ya, and then continue in started in 1979 until 1984 for PhD, Master and PhD in Case Western Reserve in Information Science, Master program in History and PhD in Information Science. So very what is that? The variant of science, yeah, very rich. Yeah? And please, Professor, you have 25 until maybe 30 minutes. But if you already enough 25 minutes will be okay. Yeah, please applause.
Ibu Bapak sekalian, selamat siang. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Kemudian untuk Profesor Ursula Insulina Ispacher in Indonesisch, Ispacher di Dapur. Ibu Bapak sekalian, karena ini sudah waktunya, mungkin agak ngantuk. Tapi mungkin kita ingat akan, karena saya kata Profesor Wahini, saya dapat gelar master dalam bidang sejarah. Kalau kita ingat 25 tahun yang lalu di Indonesia diadakan konferensi yang namanya APEC, Asia Pacific Economic Conference. Nah setelah di Indonesia, konferensi kedua diadakan di Jepang. Nah Perdana Menteri Jepang bingung karena dia harus menyambut tamunya dalam bahasa Inggris. Kemudian stafnya mau berbicara, nggak usah bingung Pak Perdana Menteri, cukup tanya gini, how are you? Tamunya akan menjawab, fine, thank you, and you? Maka jawabnya lagi, ya, me too. Maka ketika datang Perdana Menteri China, Malaysia, Indonesia, saya tanya, how are you? Pak Tua menjawabnya, fine, thank you, and you, me too. Demikian seterusnya. Sampai akhirnya yang terakhir datang ialah urutan ialah USA, datanglah Bill Clinton. Bingung dia, gugup. Dia tanya, who are you? Bill Clinton jawab, oh, I am Bill Clinton, husband of Hillary Clinton, and you, me too. Saya kira ini tentang bidang etika itu dapat dikaji tentang bahasa. Berikutnya, oke. Mungkin kita bicara sedikit tentang pemetaan ilmu pengetahuan. Itu terjemahan dari science mapping. Kita harus hati-hati karena sebelumnya karena harus hati-hati karena science dalam bahasa Inggris itu artinya adalah cenderung pada ilmu pengetahuan alam. Sedangkan ilmu pengetahuan alam, sedangkan kita kenal ada ilmu pengetahuan budaya, ada ilmu pengetahuan sosial, SMA kan begitu. Dan juga ada ilmu kajian agama. Nah kemudian pengertian sains dalam bahasa Inggris berbeda dengan pengertian dalam bahasa Jerman. Dalam bahasa Jerman itu kita mengenal istilah Wissenschaft, atau dalam bahasa Belanda itu namanya Wetenschap. Itu artinya adalah ilmu pengetahuan seluruhnya, bukan pada sains dalam arti bahasa Inggris. Maka sebenarnya terjemahan science mapping di dalam bahasa Indonesia artinya pemetaan ilmu pengetahuan, bukan pemetaan ilmu saja. Karena ilmu itu lebih sempit daripada ilmu pengetahuan. Maka di Indonesia kita mengenal adanya akademi ilmu pengetahuan yang diisi oleh ilmuwan terbaik di Indonesia. Pemetaan ilmu pengetahuan dari segi bibliometrika itu kita kita menggunakan sederhana menggunakan kata kunci. Nah, kata kunci diambil dari daftar tadi subjek atau thesaurus atau daftar deskriptor lainnya. Jadi kalau ada dua dokumen memiliki kata kunci jaringan dan teknologi, maka dapat dikatakan bahwa kedua dokumen itu punya hubungan atau subjek yang sama. Berikutnya. Mungkin, nah di dalam bibliometrika itu kita mengenal topik yang namanya keyword atau keyword analysis. Nah, keyword analysis sebenarnya berkembang dari Prancis. Jadi itu mengkaji dokumen berdasarkan subjek yang sama. Nah, subjek yang sama itu apa? Itu diberikan dengan kata kunci atau deskriptor. Nah, kemudian kata kunci itu apa? Kata kunci itu mempunyai dua sisi. Satu ialah similarity, keserupaan. Satunya lagi adalah dissimilarity, ketidakserupaan. Jadi kalau banyak dokumen mempunyai kata kunci gudeg dan kemudian juga kuliner, maka dapat dikatakan bahwa dokumen-dokumen itu ada tentang gudeg dan kuliner. Tapi sebenarnya kalau banyak dokumen tentang gudeg, kalau satunya tentang sate, maka hubungan antara gudeg dengan sate itu akan berjalan. Hal ini dapat kita lakukan dengan teknik bibliometrika. Biasanya dimulai dengan analisis data multivariat, kemudian keserupaan kata, jadi kata-kata gudeg, gudeg kendil, gudeg ceker, gudeg ayam, itu punya similarity yang dekat. Sebaliknya gudeg dengan sate atau sate samirono itu jauh berbeda. Nah, itu ada tekniknya jaga indeks atau simple matching. Kemudian setelah itu diolah menggunakan perangkat lunak semacam yang ada di Gajah Mada ialah SPSS. Sedangkan perangkat lunak Pacek dan GB itu masih dalam proses pencobaan. Sedangkan tadi ada ViviForce itu kita belum punya. Nah, hasilnya itu kemudian dibuatkan semacam dendrogram, lalu kemudian ada skala multidimensi. Nah, itu contoh gambar dendrogram, sederhana aja. Kemudian berikutnya itu adalah hasil visualisasi, ya, itu peta itu. Itu contoh kalau kita menggunakan SPSS. Berikutnya lagi, itu contoh peta pengetahuan. Jadi bermacam-macam konsep itu dapat kita jadikan satu dengan menghubungkan, dan itu tidak perlu menggunakan sistem manual, cukup menggunakan perangkat lunak saja. Itu contoh yang lain. Jadi mungkin di makalah nanti dapat dilihat. Itu contoh bahwa itu adalah contoh peta pengetahuan. Nah, ini dapat dilakukan oleh masa perpustakaan dengan menggunakan prinsip tadi sudah dikatakan oleh Profesor Ursula bahwa itu ada persamaan kata kunci, persamaan klasifikasi dan sebagainya. Ini sederhana saja. Nah, kemudian apa kegunaan pengembangan peta ilmuwan Indonesia? Yang pertama ialah sebagai dasar keputusan dari kebijakan riset policy. Jadi dari riset policy itu akan terlihat mana penelitian yang berkembang, mana penelitian yang tidak berkembang. Kalau Ibu perhatikan hasil hibah penelitian universitas di Indonesia, itu sebagian besar, kalau nggak salah sebagian besar masih banyak pada ilmu pengetahuan sosial, sedangkan masih kurang pada bidang-bidang yang lain. Nah, kalau itu kita bikin peta, itu akan terlihat mana yang kuat, mana yang tidak. Lalu juga kita dapat menunjukkan arah pengembangan penelitian, jadi semacam tren yang sekarang ada, yang tren yang mana yang tidak ada. Sebagai contoh, saya kira seorang perpustakaan meneliti tentang pemetaan ilmu pengetahuan pada teknik sipil antara ITB dengan UI selama 10 tahun. Itu ternyata ada perbedaan. Pada ITB, pemetaan pada teknik sipil itu lebih banyak mengenai perminyakan, sedangkan di UI lebih banyak pada industri otomotif. Jadi ada gejala beda, sehingga penelitian akan berbeda. Hal itu juga dapat dijelaskan bahwa kenapa terjadi demikian, karena di ITB banyak mendapat bantuan dari Pertamina yang tertarik dengan energi, sedangkan di UI tertarik banyak dari industri otomotif. Jadi kita bisa menjelaskan kenapa terjadi itu. Lalu juga dapat menunjukkan masing-masing subjek. Kalau kita lihat peta sebelumnya, ini subjek ilmu informasi, ini subjek library science, ini subjek dokumentasi sejarah, itu kelihatan akan hal itu. Kemudian juga kalau kita menggunakan sekat waktu, time block. Jadi penelitian antara tahun 2000 sampai 2010 akan berbeda dengan penelitian 1990 dengan 1995. Nah, kemudian peta pengetahuan ini kalau dikaitkan dengan teknik kolaborasi itu sedikit banyak dapat memprediksi siapa calon guru besar. Jadi kami pernah melakukan penelitian antara dosen fakultas kedokteran yang banyak menulis antara 1930 sampai 1939, 1950 sampai 1959, dan 1970 sampai 1979. Dapat diprediksi mereka yang tercantum pada peta itu akan tercantum lagi 20 tahun kemudian, dan ternyata mereka adalah kelak jadi guru besar. Kalau tadi Dirjen katakan sekarang guru besar muda, itu bukan karena faktor usia, tapi karena faktor publikasi. Sehingga sekarang guru besar atau profesor itu kebanyakan usianya 30-an lah. Kalau saya pun jadi profesor pada usia 50-an lah, karena susah sekali jadi profesor. Saya setuju dengan tadi Pak Dirjen, kesudahan profesor itu ya harus mengisi macam-macam begini. Nah sekarang banyak lagi juga kemudian juga ya, pengembangan informatika, misalnya kita bisa mengarang jadi co-author, pengarang berbagai keilmuan dan terbitan Indonesia, juga kolaborasi pengarang dan kedekatan subjek satu dengan yang lain. Kalau pada tingkat internasional ada Scopus, ada Web of Science, ada lain. Nah Indonesia malah ada. Jadi kalau Ibu mencari maaf saja dosen Gajah Mada, fakultas kedokteran, mana yang paling produktif, mana yang paling sering disita, susahnya setengah mati. Apalagi penelitian yang sedang berkembang di Indonesia setengah mati. Sebaliknya kita bisa mengetahui melalui Scopus siapa dosen Gajah Mada yang aktif di dunia internasional. Tapi begitu di dalam negeri kita akan mengalami kesulitan. Maka suatu ketika saya ingin di UGM ada semacam lab informatika, termasuk juga semacam Scopus untuk tingkat Indonesia. Ini bisa bekerjasama dengan Internasional, bisa bekerjasama dengan PDLP, sehingga kita tahu dosennya siapa, apa karyanya, berapa kali disita dalam maupun luar negeri. Yang penting dalam negeri, karena data dalam negeri lebih sulit didapat daripada data luar negeri. Kalau moderator Profesor Wahyu ini gampang masuk Scopus, namanya ada, perusahaan Jerman ini ada. Coba masuk pada pangkalan data Indonesia setengah mati cari. Saya kira berikutnya kegunaannya sudah. Saya kira waktu saya sudah selesai. Terima kasih. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih, thank you very much, Professor. You make it very fast, so I think participants also do not necessary to have translation. Okay, I think we will enter the question and answer session. Please raise your hand if you have questions and mention your name and to whom your question.
My question is goes to Prof. Ursula Jaje.
Is your name?
My name is Mustafa from Bogor Agricultural University Library. I have three questions. The first, you mentioned some benefit of open access journal. One of which is retention of some or all of the copyrights. Right? Could you please explain more about that? The benefit of open access journal is retention of some or all of the copyrights.
Yes, I think it changes because...
I have three, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, possibly it's easier to answer one after the other.
Thank you. Second one, you also mentioned Digital Curation Center, DCC, right? Is that somewhat like digital repository? I don't know. If so, if not, could you please explain the difference between Digital Curation Center, digital repository, and digital repository? I don't know.
Copyright right as you formulate a paper, a scientific paper, all rights, and the big players like Elsevier and so on. And if you now have an open access journal, possibly you are the owner and you have the copyright about this. So there is a lot shifting about the rights of the scientists. And the second question I didn't understand because I didn't work with data, metadata, and so on. So they learn it at their computer science study degrees, and yeah, more libraries have computer scientists using these expertise.
And who will be the better? I mean, either the librarian or the computer scientists.
Sometimes they work together, sometimes not. Yeah.
In what?
I think they are sometimes competitors because if the library needs somebody about metadata and so on, and you are a computer scientist and you have more knowledge about this, they decide it for and take the computer scientist. They are competitors. That's like in the real market.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Maybe anyone will raise questions, please? Yeah.
Ursula Yogi. Science mapping is, I think, is a new thing in every science, especially in Indonesia. If I see your presentation, I think science mapping just can be by to mapping article or publication at online publication. So can you do that for not journal that not published online on internet? Because in Indonesia we have many journals that not published, not online. You know that. So and the problem in Indonesia is we have in my opinion we have two journal database. They are ISJD, Indonesian Scientific Journal Database, and IUD, Index Publicator, Indonesian Publicator Index, but still incomplete until now to index publication in Indonesia. So can we do science mapping in the not online context?
Oh, that's difficult. It's possible, but very difficult because you have it, you must do it by your hand. Yeah. So therefore, you need the data in an electronic form. You need a minimum of the metadata or something like that. If you have, but possibly you have the publications recognized in databases, bibliographic databases, and then it should be possible. So you must have a look how many publications are online in some databases.
Okay, so
not the publication must be online, but recognized on content of the databases. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then second question for Professor Basuki and
Professor Sahid.
Professor Sahid. Sorry. Our problem in Indonesia is collaboration. You know, because many articles in Indonesia that write by individual writer. So how to increase the collaboration between author in Indonesia, especially for Mr. Basuki in library science. Thank you.
Kerjasama di bidang sharing dalam bidang fisika, itu tercatat 125 pengarah kolaborasi dari 29 negara dalam penelitian 5 tahun. Nah, tampaknya kecenderungan pengetahuan alam di Indonesia itu cenderung mungkin makin banyak pakai kolaborasi. Nah, masalahnya data itu nggak ada karena majalahnya nggak ada. Majalahnya itu sebagian tidak online. Jadi sebagian itu majalah biasa itu sehingga sebagian bersurat kita harus memeriksa satu persatu majalah itu. Masalah lain adalah majalah itu nggak lengkap. Maaf, di Perpustakaan Nasional nggak lengkap, di BD nggak lengkap, jadi harus datang ke sana kemari. Jadi kesulitan.
Kalau masa depan science mapping di Indonesia gimana?
Saya kira akan berkembang. Karena juga banyak perangkat lunak yang mulai tersedia cuma-cuma dan juga beberapa perangkat lunak tetap terus terus mungkin kita bisa dapat mungkin dengan semacam kontrak antara universitas dengan penerbitnya publisher.
Oke. Anybody wants more question? Okay, if not, then I will ask the presenter to give very short statement regarding the topic to the end of this session. Please, Professor Ursula, then Professor Sahid, and then Professor Sustila Suki.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I think that science mapping could be a very interesting instrument, and I think it's a very easy and fascinating instrument. But on the other side, you must be aware about the origin of the data, the quality of the data, and how to use the data. And therefore, it must be seen as a service for your customers to create these science maps and to help them to analyze and to show them what's the data basis of these science maps to have take the right conclusions about this.
Thank you, Professor Ursula. Professor Sahid, from the perspective of leaders of sciences.
Yeah, science map will be very important, especially for developing leadership of higher education institution. And now we have to start, especially in Indonesia, university also, we have to start by science.
Thank you very much, Professor
kita juga melihat pada dunia internasional, kita juga perlu melihat aplikasi berkaitan dengan kita tahu pada gejalanya apapun dan bagaimana yang itu dijadikan. Tapi yang lain saya berharap bisa ada semacam laboratorium untuk pengembangan yang mencakup semua bidang.
Thank you very much. So that's all the first panel session. I think we have still many hard works to achieve science mapping, and then also we need a science leader here and so many requirements that we have to fulfill. Thank you very much. Hope that you have enjoy and fruitful discussion in this first panel session. Selamat siang.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. Actually, I'm really nervous. I'm really impressive because this is interesting topic about open society, open access, and paradigm shift. If you talk about open, the term is really controversial because open means not close. In Indonesia, everybody knows about certification. Certification in the sciences, it means close. Everybody has competence, it means different from none. It's a problem absolutely. But today, we talk about open science, open access, and paradigm shift. Start from impact, digital evolution. Today, we are pleased to welcome Mr. Lambert Haller as a first panelist and Dr. Ika Dewi as a second panelist. Mr. Lambert is a very special panelist from Germany. He'll be sharing with us with expert his idea and his opinion and maybe his picture, I don't know, about impact of digital evolution in research, library, and maybe organization, culture, whatever, we don't know. But if I talk about open science, I remind somebody have a big influence in science. Karl Popper, open society and its enemy. He talks about falsification, validation. It's until now maybe the idea is not clear, but God bless us. Among us, Mr. Lambert will be share his idea and his opinion. The second panelist is Dr. Ika Dewi Ana, is a director of Center for Innovation Academic Assessment. Dr. Ika will be sharing about a smart idea about shift of paradigm. Ladies and gentlemen, I am as a manager of this forum. Please be in welcoming them up on the stage, Mr. Lambert Haller and Dr. Ika. For the first time, Mr. Lambert will be share his PowerPoint. Maybe it's not. We spend time 20 minutes. Mr. Lambert, for the idea. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Lambert. Hello.
Good afternoon. dear Mr. Ida, dear Mr. Marke, dear faculty of the UGM, thank you very much for inviting me. I'm really honored and to visit this beautiful country and to talk to you and discuss this very interesting issues with you. And before I begin my 20-minute presentation on what I think is open science about and why this is an interesting challenge and an opportunity at the same time for us as an international community of academic librarians, let me first point out that I work for the TIB, which is the German National Library of Science and Technology. And tomorrow in this session, I will go further into why this is really a part of TIB's mission and how this, what I tell you today, fits into the overall strategy of our library. But this will be not my main focus today, but more what is open science in general and what holds this as a challenge and as an opportunity for us. Next slide, please. So maybe you wonder before I begin, what is it, open science? What does it mean? We already heard mostly from Ursula Georgi about open access. And open access is a term that is really firmly established. I mean, we have not totally arrived there that every publication is open access. But at least most of us in the profession, in the librarian profession, know what open access is about. And that open access is not some nice dream or something, but is something which is really substantial for doing science in the digital age. Open access is not just that the business of making research results available to make this sustainable on the long run, but it is also about giving researchers the opportunity to make use of the internet in terms of that makes sense, yes, and it's about quick and easy access to all the knowledge that is available and to give the information a very quick turnaround and give people the opportunity to build upon the works of others and so on. And open science is closely related to that, maybe not that well known yet. And it's about making not only the research results freely available and reusable, but all of the research process, yes, all this original research data, to work with the data, with online applications, with digital applications, and so on. For instance, and this is one example, which I will come later to again because it's quite important, is to make research data available freely as soon as it is there, and to make it in a sustainable, citable manner available. And when we talk about making research data, methodologies, tools, software, and so on, when we talk about making all of this freely available, then we have open science. And again, this is not just some science fiction idea, but for instance, our new European Union Commissioner for Research and Innovation, Carlos Moedas, pointed out that open science is one of 3 pillars of research policy in the European Union. So it's one of the really important matters that he wants to drive forward. And okay, I will just show you very quick how I learned about open science, because maybe this is an interesting perspective. I think that in the recent years we can learn about what is inside open science and what the opportunities are there. And I want to retell you the story how I discovered it myself in some few historical snapshots, like 5 or 6 snapshots where I think something really decisive and insightful happened in the world of open science. And I will give you that in a And then, in the end, if time allows, maybe I will cut this part and put this to tomorrow. I will give you one example in one area where my team, the Open Science Lab at TIB, tries to make sense of it and tries to deliver new solutions to research communities for open science. Yeah. Okay. And as you see, I'm Lambo on Twitter. This is you find me on other networks, but this is my preferred one. And you find TIB UB. This is the institutional account of our library of TIB. And the CC0 mark, you may know it or not, just means do whatever you want with my presentation, reuse it, make useful things out of it. You don't need to ask me. Thanks for that. Okay. I would start with what, from my point of view, is something like the original explosion of this whole open thing, open access, open science, everything included. And this is archive, the one with the X in its name. Just because I'm curious, who knows about archive? Who has already seen this website or heard about it? Hands up, please. Only very few. Okay. So let me just give a very short impression what archive is about. Archive is a website where, since many years, mostly mathematicians and physicists can upload their research papers as soon as they are finished. Yes. And it's freely accessible to everyone. And in this particular community, especially in the field of particle physicists, if you know any particle physicist anywhere in the world, ask them about archive. They will know. They have always the browser tab open with archive. Because it's a very easy way to get to know what is new in research in your narrower field. And many of you will know and will be familiar with sites like academia.edu or ResearchGate. I will come to that later. But this is not new. Yes, we have that since 1991. And what is so interesting about this is that this is so easy. Yes, this is so intuitive. You can try to reach academic recognition by submitting your work to some well-known publisher brand, or you don't, or you submit it to some smaller journal. But completely independent from that, you can post it to archive as soon as the PDF is finished and you have it there. And then the next day, everybody can access it. And that's it. That's it. It's so easy. It can be so easy if researchers like to do so and know of these tools and like to make use of these tools. Keep that in mind. It's always an inspiring example to follow the fate of projects like Archive. And it's a huge success. Today it holds millions, many millions of documents, and it has grown far beyond the initial community of particle physicists. Yes. Okay. Next slide, please. The other, I want to point that out very shortly because it's maybe all too obvious, and I don't want to talk too much about it. But another important point for me is this insight from this guy, John Wilinski, who pointed out that what economists call the marginal cost of publishing in the internet age go towards zero. They never reach completely zero, but they move towards zero. And what this means is that all of the costs and all of what you have to do in order to reach it to publish something is in the internet age does only affect the very first copy of anything. So you have maybe a huge effort to make your Word document or your LaTeX document and make a PDF out of it, to check every fact, to make the footnotes and do all the proper research and check the data and so on. But after that, all the other costs go towards zero. In the print age, there was a huge machinery which was really needed, yes, in order to bring copies to libraries all over the world. There were thousands of libraries, literally academic libraries, and so you had to have this huge apparatus to deliver the results to them, and not so today. And John Wilinski and his colleagues proved it by delivering a freely available software which is called Open Journal Systems, which is still alive today and well. But there are many comparable other software packages today, which makes it possible for everybody who's interested in it to run a professional academic journal. Make no mistake, you don't need to buy a license to run the software, but the effort to run an academic journal is still huge. But the effort is not on the side of making available free copies on the internet. That technical part, yes, of making it available on the internet, this is pretty well covered with the software. All you have to do, in parentheses, all you have to do is to know your audience and to organize the journal. Yes, these are the true, real costs that cannot be cut through technology, but all the other costs can be cut with this kind of systems available. And as you see in the small statistics piece from a directory of open access journals, both Germany and Indonesia are in fact one of the top countries worldwide that make use of this kind of development. And these are countries where you have completely open access journals, where not single articles are freely available, but all. Next slide, please. And maybe some of you think, okay, there's this Mr. Lambert from Germany standing in front of us and telling us interesting things that could happen or could be done or so. But okay, is this really some alternative to these well-known, large and profitable publisher brands that we all know of, and that is mostly told about when it comes to academic acknowledgement and gaining professorships and gaining third-party funding and so on. And I tell you, yes, this is not a pipe dream. This world of open access. This is not some dreamy alternative, but this is very solid, even in terms of business. This became clear to me, at least, in the year 2008. And that was very simple, because then I read this. And this was that one of the, by that time, most successful family of open access, of pure open access journals, was bought by one of the second largest, in fact, academic publisher of the world, Springer. At that time, many open access enthusiasts were really scared, and the reaction was, oh, they will switch everything to subscription, yes, because they are old enemies of open access. Why should Springer buy some open access journals? No, they did not flip a single journal to subscription, because open access is a solid business model in itself. Springer bought these journals in order to drive a good business with them, because it works in terms of business. And this was interesting to me, and I think we should keep that always. Next slide, please. I guess I'm already behind my frame of 15 minutes. Okay, yeah, okay. So, and then this is maybe one of the most popular, or at least one of the most challenging and deep stuff that happens. All of that I told you until now, until this point, 2008, was more or less a digital mirroring of traditional scholarly publishing. Yes. In traditional scholarly publishing, you have this boring pages of information, a 3-column layout, nicely centered headline, some formula in it, and some pictures and so on. You all all know that, and from one day to the other, you all had this kind of publication available as PDF files. Yes. So, in terms of this, there was not many change, and it kind of not this is kind of worrying, or at least you ask yourself why is that so? Because the internet revolution is not only about to take the old print products and make a copy of them available as PDF. It's much more. If you have a look around in the internet, it brought up entirely new kind of media. And Ursula Georgi already pointed out how important it is to be familiar, to become familiar with this kind of generic new web media that we have now. That is, for instance, profile services, social networking services, blogs, Twitter, and so on and so on. And what happened in the community of mathematicians around 2009 was that they moved the production of research results entirely to this new kind of new web-born media. This happened first in Tim Gowers. Tim Gowers is not somebody in mathematics. It's a Fields medalist. The Fields medal is a Nobel Prize for mathematics. So, he started the Polymath project, and that was simply he asked really hard, tough research questions in pure mathematics in his own blog, and then resolved with the help from his blog readers these problems in the commentary thread of his blog posts. And roughly the same time, Mars Overflow started. This is a nicely done website where you have a competition around who delivers the best answer to an open question. So everybody can post hard questions about being a mathematician, like gaining a PhD or so, or even mathematical research questions, but not homework level questions. Let's be clear here, yes, but hard, tough mathematical questions. And then everybody can commit answers. And you can up and download answers from other members of that community. And you can even edit existing answers, so it's a wiki-like component, if you would say so. Oh, I left wikis and Wikipedia out of the examples for web generic media. This is maybe one of the absolutely most important ones, yes. Learn, I appeal to you, learn about the web and the possibilities of the web through Wikipedia. Let's learn how to use it, how to generate content there, and so on. It's important. And okay, let's come back to Mars Overflow. And this kind of stuff took on. And now we have a situation, and this is really interesting, where Fields medalists, like Terence Tao, like Timothy Gowers, and so on, make it ridiculous. They make jokes about writing papers for journals. Think about it. This is for some fields of pure mathematics and around. This is no more the absolutely cornerstone of a mathematician's career to publish in some important journal. They make jokes about it. They say, no, the research questions are answered here. Why should we put that in some journal, in some PDF that somehow is peer-reviewed or anything? All this is essentially covered in our forum. And when you look around in other sciences, you see early beginnings of this kind of development as well. I had in between a very quick conversation about this with Ursula Georgi, and at least we came to two other disciplinary examples. One is the economics community. They go more and more beyond in this direction of using blogs and discussing things in blogs. Another example would be the computer science community. where you have next to the traditional journal article things like conference papers and so on. So make no mistake, what I do not want to say with this is that what you heard before in this conference was wrong, and this is that it should not be a good goal for instance, Indonesia to produce more high-level journal articles. This is okay on another level. But what I want to say to you, as a professional as a profession of academic librarians, is look out for this development. This is important. This is huge. We have to prepare for that, because this is the world how research more and more often will happen. And all of our, what is our core business, to make things sustainable, to make them discoverable and so on. And if you go to this kind of goals that we have as a profession, all of that changes, yes. How do you archive a web forum? How do you make it citable? How do you make sure that openly available data will be usable, citable, and so on in the long run? How do you make it discoverable? Have a look at your current discovery system or catalog search in your library. Is it possible? And how far is it possible to index documents like a web forum thread in this kind of systems? This is the kind of questions that we should ask, and where we can make sure that our profession is still needed in the future and is not overrun by this kind of development. Next slide. Okay, I will get a bit more quickly here again. One other piece, maybe you ask yourself with the last slide, okay, now he tells us that a web forum or a wiki can be everything, but who maintains the quality of all of this? Yes. And in a way, you are right. We have this very well-known tradition of peer review in science, yes, and this is one of the cornerstones of journal publishing, that everything goes to this kind of peer review and so on. But here you see these early signs of change as well. And a very interesting effect was this claim of the bacteria that can live only on the basis of arsenic. Maybe you remember that one. That there was this hype that was came from scientists from NASA, and they claimed, okay, we can prove that there are bacteria that live only from arsenic. So it should be possible that on plenty more planets in the universe, life-like forms are possible than we understood until now. So this was the claim. And then Rosie Redfield, a well-renowned researcher in this field, blogged about why this is a wrong claim. Yes. And the research community discovered very quick that Rosie Redfield was right. That this claim that was made in science, and science is like flagship of this claim of quality and everything what is associated with it was wrong. And this, I just mentioned this to make sure that these new web generic media, like blogging, have their very own ways to assure quality that are maybe unfamiliar and on the first hint side complicated or not quite easy to grasp ways of assure quality, but it happens. And this is now like 5 or 6 years back, but look now, you have now several platforms that are only about giving peer review or organizing peer review in an open and decentralized manner. And we should make ourselves familiar with that, and we should follow this development. Next slide, please. One other example. Maybe you remember the EHEC outbreak, bacteria outbreak 5 years ago. This was a very interesting case where biologists put the data from sequencing the bacteria onto the platform of GitHub. Yes. Curious question again. Who of you heard about GitHub or experienced it? Can I see your hands? Okay, only very few. That's okay. So let me tell you, GitHub, you do not necessarily need to know it. This is a platform where you develop software. So this is something completely different than putting up research data from genomes sequencing. But this is an interesting habit of researchers. When you give them some huge, freely available commercial platform, they tend to make use of it. They don't wait for anybody to allow them to use some generic tool that is especially made for them or something. No. They use what is there, what is available. We did a survey in Germany among professors where we had the result that around 2/3 of professors in Germany use tools like Dropbox to share and work together on research data. This is quite interesting. Because on the first side, we say, okay, Dropbox, what is Dropbox? Dropbox is for sharing holidays pictures, and here and there maybe a homework work document. And GitHub is for developing software, it's not for sharing research data. But who cares? They use the stuff that is already there. And then new patterns of doing research on the net in a very open manner. And how do they learn from each other? How do they learn that there is some genome sequencing data with which to analyze and work and compete on GitHub? They read each other's blogs. Or they Google for it and then discover the blog and do their stuff. And be sure about that. This is not only about collaboration. This is at the very same time also about competition. Because in that moment, when you post another way to analyze the sequence data on GitHub or on your blog, you make a claim. And essentially, it works in a very small pattern, like a patent, if you want to say so, because you make clear that you were the first one and you documented it, that you were the first one who came up with the idea. This is a very interesting pattern. It's not, if you use the open web to do research in this kind of way, you don't strip yourself of this claim of being the original source of your research. No. You make your research available, but at the same time, you claim that it is your research. Okay, next slide, please. So now I come to an end. On a broader scale, what is really important for the future of audiences is that we have in the European area, and not only in the European area, since several years, this development that states discover, the nation states themselves discover that open access is a competitive advantage. That in order to be a competitive, knowledge-based economy, it's best to share everything as far and wide and as quick as possible. This may sound not too intuitive when you first hear that. Okay, you give away everything and that is competitive? Yes, this is how things work in the internet age. It's strange, but we get to become accustomed. And that we can reach many things when we, on every level that is available, that is the European Union, the nation state, the smaller governmental entities, the universities and so on, make sure that researchers get the maximum of support when they open up their publications and their data. We do that by, for instance, giving our university an explicit open access data sharing and open data policy. There are many good examples for that. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to look around and make sure this happens. And policies are not everything. Technology is not everything. Policies are not everything. And in the end, what counts, for instance, to make open access happening on an institutional level? There were some colleagues from Malaysia who put this forward, this argument in a paper recently, where they did a survey on how open access policies, open access repositories and universities in Indonesia work. You need some kind of knowledge management. You need people who feel responsible for their institution to make this stuff available and to support the people behind the research. No policy and no technology can replace that. You need this information management people and librarians at the spot. And they need to engage with researchers. Ursula Georgi showed us this table of the skills that are needed in future information managers. And one of the points was this communication and marketing. So I come to the very end here. There was a very, very interesting survey just very recently. The results came out like a week ago or so from colleagues from the university library in Utrecht, the Netherlands, Boosman and Kramer. And maybe you heard about that. They did a large collection of tools, and this reminds us how the landscape of scholarly working online already changed. Compare all these possibilities, and there are entries like online reference managers like Mendeley and Notebook. There are data, research data repositories, many other brand names, yes, many options for discovery tools. We had a few interesting examples for visualization tools and so on. And compare that to, for instance, the 1990s. Yes. In a way, the 1990s were already an age of online research, but there were very few tools available back then. And most of them were only available through a library subscription anyway. So in a way, you could work in a very traditional way as a librarian. You could say, okay, you will need Web of Science. You need to come to ours because we give you the subscription and we teach you, because it's quite complicated, how to use Web of Science. This is how online, in a nutshell, I'm joking here, but you get the point. That was how online research worked in the 1990s, and now we have literally hundreds of tools that are freely available to all researchers, and it's just overwhelming. And we have to acknowledge this things like this. Boosman and Kramer give these example workflows. Yes. You can easily imagine every step of the research cycle, from discovery to analyze data, writing, publication, outreach, and then the last thing I cannot, assessment. You can combine all of different tools, yes. And in fact, these large traditional publishers like Elsevier, Springer, they strive to be so-called operating system for digital science. This is how they want it. This is the idea. You will have plenty of tools, and in the future, and I mean this is subscription journal market. Let's be true. In 20 to 30 years, it will be nearly dead. Okay, not really dead. There will be some edge cases where you have still subscription journals around, maybe, but mostly. So where do they make their profit then in the future? The idea is to be the operating system of digital science, to be available with own tools at every step of the research science. And now I ask you, what do we do about this? On the one hand, we have really to know our ways through this jungle in order to be able to talk about that with our research communities, let alone to give them useful advice. We really have to know our ways. And then on top of that, we should put it again in the scale and make sure that in at least some steps of these research cycles, we bring our own tools forward and bring own solutions that can compete with those from these mostly commercial vendors. If you want to read more about this line of thought, please look up more recent thing from me on the London School of Economics and Blog. There's a translated interview. And I just a few minutes ago, I talked with Mr. Market, talked about maybe we can translate this in Indonesian. Maybe that's okay. Next slide. Okay, if I have still 2 minutes,
2 minutes.
2 minutes, yes? Okay.
Just 2 minutes.
I try to make it very, very short, and the rest I will keep for tomorrow. Yes. I just want to point out that you have this huge scholarly profile services like academia, next slide please, or a ResearchGate, where, for instance, this university has several thousands of active users. Next slide please. And this is maybe the pattern here. You have the identity of the scholar, you have his or her social network, you have research output, and so on. And next slide please. And we very recently built a comparable system built on open source software as a student project. And this is my very last thought for today. Yes, guys? Okay. Maybe next slide. Next slide. Okay, this is the very last slide that I want to show you. Just look it up. This is one concrete example where one student from the Hannover University of Applied Science did this with us under our guidance at the Open Science Lab of the TIA. And what you see here is an interactive, generic visualization of it's a mapping of science. Yeah? It's a map of science of some research products from TIA. And you can navigate through keywords, authors, publications, projects, and so on. And if you believe it or not, this is a bachelor student who learned everything what was needed to do this kind of programming in like 1 or 2 semesters. You can learn that. It's that easy. And we had before this discussion, okay, now it's computer science against us librarians or information managers. I don't buy that. I would say that like we had in the past this understanding of information literacy. We now have the need for a very basic level of data and programming literacy. And this should be part of the higher education that we deliver to our future librarians. And we have to give them the opportunity to show what they can, to excel with this. And by this, we educate self-confident library leaders who really know that they can do things, that they can put things forward, not just subscribe to some piece of technology that is made by others, but really create and deliver new creative solutions to problems like mapping of science. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Really impressive about impact of digital revolution, researcher, librarian, and maybe organization of us. Before Dr. Ika share idea. We invite Dr. Julida to join with us to interpretation and review what Mr. Lambert says. This is help us to understand.
Pada dasarnya yang dibicarakan oleh Bapak Lambert adalah tentang open science, yaitu sebuah sistem open access yang pada dasarnya membuka semua informasi untuk umum. Yang ditekankan pada presentasi kali ini adalah tantangan dan kesempatannya. Termasuk kesempatan untuk mengoptimalkan internet sebagai sebuah fasilitas bagi peneliti maupun bagi para pustakawan untuk membantu menyediakan informasi secara cepat, secara gratis, sehingga dapat melakukan terutama proses dalam penelitian, dalam mendapatkan data, mengerjakan data hingga penerbitan dengan lebih mudah. Open access ini sudah menjadi merupakan sebuah kebijakan utama dalam bidang penelitian di Eropa. Di awal presentasi dijelaskan bagaimana open science ditemukan, yaitu dengan memulai diperkenalkan sebuah website atau situs berjudul archive.org atau arxiv.org, di mana merupakan simpulan komunitas ilmuwan yang dapat langsung menggunakan platform tersebut, menggunakan situs tersebut sebagai sarana untuk membagi hasil penelitian mereka kepada umum, dapat diakses secara cepat dan gratis, dan dengan begitu membuat pengetahuan yang mereka temukan lebih terbuka dan mudah diakses. Meskipun mungkin bidangnya adalah fisika partikel. Kemudian hal ini kemudian menjadi lebih populer dan luas. Disebutkan juga bahwa contoh lain John Budinsky memperkenalkan sebuah ide, yaitu penerbitan online di mana biaya yang dikeluarkan sangat minim dibandingkan biaya penerbitan jurnal dalam bentuk fisik. Ia menawarkan 3 sumber gratis dimana semua orang bisa menggunakannya untuk kepentingan sendiri. Perlu ditekankan bahwa meski sumber gratis, tetap diperlukan biaya untuk proses penelitian jurnal secara formal. Pada akhirnya hal ini membantu banyak penerbitan open access jurnal di Indonesia. Disebutkan juga bahwa meskipun terkesan gratis, disebutkan juga bahwa salah satu open access jurnal yang paling sukses dalam bidang medis telah dibeli oleh penerbit terbesar kedua di dunia, yaitu Springer. Dan ini membuktikan bahwa open access jurnal dapat menjadi sebuah bentuk bisnis yang solid. Selain itu, Pak Lambert juga mengenalkan suatu bentuk pengalaman open access yang lain, yaitu bagaimana sebuah komunitas publikasi online membuat suatu proyek di mana sebuah pertanyaan ilmiah, research question, pertanyaan dari sebuah penelitian ditampilkan dalam suatu situs di mana semua orang dapat merespon dan memberi masukan dan bahkan bekerja sama untuk menjawab masalah tersebut, dan pada akhirnya menghasilkan sesuatu yang baik, yaitu dipecahkannya masalah tersebut. Pada akhirnya perkembangan open access jurnal ini harus diantisipasi oleh para pustakawan karena akan terjadi lebih banyak dan akan semakin mudah ditemukan dan tersedia informasi. Karena itu pustakawan harus lebih lebih canggih dalam menghadapinya, dalam hal penggunaan citasi, bagaimana informasi dapat digunakan dengan baik, dan sebagainya. Mengenai masa depan open access di Eropa, hal ini pada menjadi suatu kelebihan karena mereka sangat mendukung ekonomi berbasis pengetahuan. Jadi semakin banyak pengetahuan terbuka di masyarakat, semakin baiklah ekonomi suatu negara. Kesimpulannya, open access memberikan lebih banyak manfaat dan semakin banyak program dan sarana gratis yang dapat digunakan oleh para peneliti dan pustakawan. Meski begitu, seorang peneliti harus dapat mengingat identitasnya dalam kaitannya dengan peran institusional, produk penelitiannya, dampak dari penelitiannya, organisasi sosial, dan sebagainya. Terakhir, pada akhirnya Bapak Albert menunjukkan bagaimana seorang mahasiswa di Harvard bekerja sama dengan orang akses di Jerman dan dapat menghasilkan sebuah visualisasi interaktif yang generik mengenai sebuah pemetaan ilmu dari penelitian tertentu. Jadi sebenarnya kesimpulannya ini dapat dipelajari dengan mudah dan sebagai pustakawan kita harus berhati-hati mengintervensi
Thank you, Ms. Julida. Please for okay. If you want to know deeply Mr. Lambert, you can open biblionic.da, and you maybe found many information about him in his biblionic. Okay, the next panelist is Dr. Ika Dewi Ana. I will introduce shortly her career. Dr. Ika Dewi Ana is a dentist by training, graduate from Universitas Gadjah Mada. She continued her study in clinical epidemiology at the Graduate School of Medicine again and got her PhD in dental sciences from Kyushu University, Japan in 2004. She is an associate professor at the Faculty of Dentistry, UGM. Her area of interest is bioceramic. It is really interesting for me. Tissue engineering, I don't know, I have no idea about this. And regenerative medical therapy. Absolutely, Dr. Ika produced many papers, invite speaker in national, international conference, and many things of her. It's really, yeah. I am really impressed for her. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Ika Dewi Ana.
Pak dan Ibu, Profesor Lambert, selamat siang. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm not so sure about my position here, although I am from the Center for Academic Innovation and Policy of Gadjah Mada University, but I would like to stand up here as a scientist. So I would like to introduce about the scientific development, scientific discovery and innovation, and of course the relations with the open access and open innovations like that. So having listened to what Professor Lambert lectured, we realized that data acquisitions, data management, sharing, and data sharing, data ownership in science. And also, we also understand that open innovation have been a new model for us here to develop the scientific discovery and etc. Of course, it is exactly true that in one hand, we are in collaboration, but on the other hand, we are actually in a competitive one. So this is the story of my research. We developed together an implant for biomedical implants, and we are working in an EU horizon. And everything is open. So I'm working together with an engineer from Europe and an engineer from Canada, material scientists from Europe, and also medical doctors, and also dentists, and also a tissue engineer. We work together and we arrange together our proposal, we arrange together our works, we share the data, we acquire the data, etc. And at the end, we have one product together, and this is also a new complexity in a kind of the open access and open innovations. So this is very interesting that as an academicians and as scientists, maybe we are facing the humanity problems, we are facing the ethical problems, we are in a dynamic changes, internationalization, everything is digital, everything is, our generation is digital generations. However, in our country, for example, we are not fully independent in science and technology, so this is also the problem in Indonesia. And this is also the challenge for me and for us as an academicians, that the role of higher education in economics growth and country development is becomes very important. And also, actually, we are in a very dynamic patterns of relations, of course, and also very dynamic patterns of science itself. So what I would like to share here is the development in, especially in our field, in our background. As just now Pak Zulhan mentions about what is actually tissue engineering, what is actually bioceramics, etc. So we will work together to see how science develops in our society, in a digital society, in an open access society, in an open innovation society. Yeah. And now we also have the UDA city, wherein we can learn everything freely. We can have the crowdsourcing for the development of science, etc. So this is very interesting phenomena in the higher education itself. And I remember when I was a child, I read a book. This book is by Lewis Carroll, Alice's Adventure in a Wonderland. This is not written by a real novelist, but this is written by a physicist. He learned physics from natural sciences, and he wrote the book Alice's Adventure in a Wonderland. What is interesting is that the Red Queen is running, and Alice asked to the Red Queen, and the Red Queen answered the Alice. Alice asked the Red Queen, Alice itu menanyakan kepada si Ratu Merah itu, Ratu, kenapa kamu berlari-lari terus di tempat begitu? Why are you running? Yeah. And then the Red Queen answered the question. It takes all the running you can do to keep in the same place. Jadi kita itu untuk mempertahankan berdiri di sini saja itu harus berlari cepat juga begitu. And if you want to get somewhere else, you must run at least twice as fast. So this is the situation in our digital world. Actually, maybe not not twice as fast, but 10 as fast, etc. Yeah. The next, yeah. However, as an academician, I understand that as a researcher also, we have not built capacity beyond individual level. In the institution level, we still lack of many things. In a country, we also lack of many things that we have to build together beyond the individual level. Next, please. We can skip. Yeah, next. Yeah, and we know that based on a Battle R&D magazine, we found that the budget for the R&D in our country is very, very limited. So this is also the situation that in one side we have to run, but in one side we only have limited budget for the R&D and everything in science, in technology and everything. So this is the situation if we don't use the open innovations together to make us running faster. Berikutnya. Berikutnya lagi. Yeah. So when we talk about research itself, I remember there is a child. Her name is Amy O'Toole here, and she's 10 years old. She's 10 years old, and she published a paper in biology letters, very high impact factor. What she did for the research is very interesting. Jadi waktu itu Amy O'Toole itu dia berusia 10 tahun dan dengan komunitasnya di Blacktown itu dia melakukan research tentang kumbang di wilayah Blacktown. Kemudian apa yang dilakukannya? Dia hanya mengamati perilaku dari kumbang tersebut. Kemudian dengan open innovation, dengan open science dan sebagainya. Kemudian pemikiran si anak kecil ini bersama-sama dengan teman-temannya itu kemudian ditulis menjadi sebuah jurnal dan ini menjadi rujukan di biology letters. Ya, jadi ketika kita bicara soal research, ketika kita bicara soal science, siapa yang bisa melakukan itu? Bahkan anak 10 tahun pun itu sudah bisa melakukan itu dan bahkan sudah bisa masuk ke suatu open innovation. Berikutnya. Ya, ini berikutnya kita lewati saja, ini hanya permainan sebagai inspirasi. Berikutnya. So this is the situations in our in my background. At that time, we only can dream about something. Jadi waktu itu di lukisannya The Painting of the Healing of Justinian by Saint Damien and Saint Cosmos, we only can dream. Kita memimpikan bagaimana ketika seorang tentara itu tungkainya itu sakit di peperangan bisa diganti dengan tungkai yang lain. Di situ digambarkan tungkai yang dipakai itu tungkai budak begitu. Jadi untuk menggantikan begitu. Nah, waktu itu ini hanya ada di mimpi, hanya ada di suatu lukisan. Next please. However, in 1990, around 1997, around 1991, Professor Robert Langer. So my professor is Yasuhiko Tabata from Kyoto University, and Professor Yasuhiko Tabata is Professor Robert Langer putting together this research. So this is the situation in tissue engineering terminology, wherein engineer works together with the pharmacists, work together with the medical doctors, and they try to. Jadi waktu itu muridnya Profesor Robert Langer itu namanya Dr. Chow, itu mencetak telinga dari anaknya dengan plastik. Yang ini di dunia kedokteran gigi sering kita temukan. Kemudian dengan plastik yang sudah dicetak tersebut, biodegradable plastik, seperti kalau kita membuat protesa itu, kemudian diseeding di sel, dan kemudian setelah itu plastik dan sel itu diimplankan di punggung tikus. Apa yang terjadi? Kemudian di punggung tikus itu tumbuh yang namanya tulang rawan. So the cartilage develop on the subcutaneous on the back of the mouse. So this is an example on how interdisciplinary science work together. Ya, berikutnya. Nah, kemudian dengan adanya perkembangan tersebut, itu Profesor Langer dan Profesor Vacanti dari Massachusetts Institute of Technology itu memberikan harapan kepada manusia bahwa suatu saat kita akan punya yang namanya itu the body shop. Tidak the body shop cosmetics, bukan, tetapi the body shop wherein we cannot buy cosmetics, but we can buy the organ and etc. We can buy the heart valve, etc. Inilah kemudian yang mempercepat penemuan-penemuan itu karena bekerja lintas disiplin, transdisiplin bersama-sama. So actually, when they want to realize the dream, they have to work transdisciplinary between the engineer, between the among medical doctors, pharmacists, material scientists. They have to work together to fasten the development of the discovery itself. Berikutnya, ya. Kemudian ini juga adalah problem di mana saat ini kita juga menghadapi persoalan cancer misalnya. Berikutnya, ya. It is predicted that by 2030 over 30 million people will die from cancer each year. Apa yang kemudian harus kita lakukan berikutnya? Yeah. So we have to work transdisciplinary in an open innovations as well. So kita mencoba bekerja dengan ahli nanoscientist itu bekerja dengan fisikawan, bekerja juga dengan klinisi, bekerja juga dengan mathematician yang sebenarnya Raman spektroskopi itu meskipun dia fisika, teknik fisika, tetapi formulasinya itu ditemukan oleh seorang mathematicians. Nah, di sini kita bisa melihat bagaimana transdisciplinary approach itu bisa mempercepat perkembangan dari sains dan teknologi. Seperti tadi, misalnya kita ingin memecahkan persoalan cancer, maka kemudian kita tidak bisa, ternyata seorang dokter itu harus bekerja sama juga dengan engineer yang itu dia harus membuat nanopartikel dan sebagainya, seperti itu. Berikutnya, ya. So this is also the major transitions in our science. Mungkin Bapak dan Ibu pernah membaca the biography of Garry Kasparov. Ya, dia itu kalah tidak oleh grandmaster yang lain, but dia itu kemudian mengundurkan diri karena dia kalah oleh komputer yang namanya itu deep blue computer. So this is very interesting phenomena wherein computer beats human. Yeah. Seperti itu. Ini adalah bagaimana komputer itu kemudian menjadi major transitions di dalam science and technology. Berikutnya, ya, di Jepang itu mereka sudah bisa menciptakan robot. Asimo, Honda itu menciptakan robot Asimo. When I was in France and learned about the cell culture, for example, I realized that my competitions should bargain with the robotics competitions when I'm doing the cell culture. Ketika saya harus bekerja di laboratorium, yang di Indonesia itu saya melakukannya dengan tangan begitu, di Prancis itu kita itu sudah melakukannya itu dengan robot. Sehingga sebentar lagi kalau kita melihat di laboratorium kita itu robot yang bekerja, bukan human anymore, itu juga merupakan suatu yang transisi juga di masyarakat kita. Dan ini harus kita antisipasi bersama, bagaimana dengan robot itu semuanya menjadi lebih cepat. Robot makes everything faster. Ya, ini juga computer makes everything faster. Berikutnya, ya. And science also as a major transitions. Why? Waktu itu para ahli bioteknologi itu berkumpul dan kemudian mereka berbicara kita harus memetakan nih genom manusia. At that time, the biotechnologists gather and they talk about how they will map the genome, human genome. And they thought that they would finish everything in 20 years. However, because of the open access, open innovations, they can make everything faster. Jadi pemetaan genom manusia itu yang diperkirakan 20 tahun, itu kemudian sudah bisa selesai di bawah 10 tahun. Karena adanya open access dan open innovations tersebut, sehingga 20 years becomes lesser than 20 years. Jadi waktu itu hanya less than 10 years they finish to map the human genome. Seperti itu. Berikutnya. Nah, ini juga di setiap tahun itu di Massachusetts Institute of Technology itu selalu ada kompetisi sains. Mereka mencoba untuk membuat bagaimana misalnya suatu alat sentrifugasi itu kemudian dikembangkan melalui open innovations. Jadi meskipun timnya itu ada di Princeton misalnya, tetapi mereka bekerja bersama, lalu mereka ketemu di Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Kemudian mereka akan melombakan hasil inovasi tersebut. Nah, model-model scientific discovery seperti ini, scientific progress seperti ini, scientific advancement seperti ini menjadi lebih cepat karena adanya open innovations tersebut. Berikutnya, ya, Bapak dan Ibu mungkin perlu melihat di website itu TED ya, TED Talks begitu ya. Di sana banyak sekali cerita-cerita tentang bagaimana India itu berubah, bagaimana Amy O'Toole yang berusia 10 tahun itu melakukan inovasi dan bisa kemudian menerbitkan tulisannya itu di Biology Letters misalnya. Banyak sekali hal-hal yang bisa kita pelajari dengan gratis gitu ya, free of charge, itu melalui TED ini, inspiration melalui TED ini. Berikutnya, ya. Nah, ini kemudian menjadi masalah ketika kita bicara soal open access, open innovations dan sebagainya. Kita tentu akan mengalami masalah juga bahwa number of research misconduct increasing also because of the open access and open science also, and also open innovations. Why? Because we don't know whether we cite correctly or not. We don't know whether we acquisite the data correctly or not. We don't know whether we manage the data correctly or not. We don't know whether we share the data correctly or not, etc. Jadi ini merupakan suatu tantangan juga bahwa perkembangan ilmu pengetahuan itu juga diwarnai banyaknya scientific misconduct, plagiarism, data falsifications dan sebagainya. Itu bermula dari adanya juga open access dan open innovations. Itu membuat segala sesuatunya itu menjadi kompleks. Kita tidak tahu lagi bagaimana kita melakukan plagiarisme atau tidak, whether we cite the data correctly or not, seperti itu. Jadi ini juga merupakan problematika dalam sains. Berikutnya, nah ini banyak sekali cerita-cerita, bahkan Nobel laureate sekalipun itu kemudian tulisannya itu harus di-retract dari suatu jurnal karena kesalahan mengutip, karena kesalahan mempublikasikan sesuatu dan sebagainya. Jadi for example, we have one of our Nobel laureate who leads the Whitehead Institute. He did what is called? He did data citations and also data acquisitions and data ownership incorrectly, sehingga Nobelnya itu ditarik. Meskipun dia sudah dapat Nobel, tetapi kemudian Nobel itu di-retract lagi. Begitu juga publikasinya di Nature itu juga harus ditarik karena adanya kesalahan di dalam penulisan publikasinya tersebut dan juga di dalam penulisan, di dalam mengakuisisi datanya itu. Berikutnya. And also in biology and also in my field, for example, in tissue engineering, it is easy for us to make data fabrications or data falsifications. Ketika misalnya kita itu menemukan suatu data, dengan mudahnya kita menggunakan Photoshop itu, kalau kita tidak ada scientific integrity, maka kemudian dengan mudahnya kita bisa mengubah data. Data tersebut kita ubah. Bayangkan kalau itu untuk humanity, untuk umat manusia, untuk drug discovery misalnya. Ketika kita melakukan suatu fabrikasi data, falsifikasi data, itu alangkah luar biasanya ya nanti efeknya terhadap umat manusia yang ini memerlukan pendekatan scientific integrity yang tidak boleh ditawar lagi. Dan ini harus kita ajarkan juga bagaimana cara membaca data dengan baik, bagaimana mengakuisisi data dengan baik, bagaimana mempublikasikan data dengan benar, dan sebagainya, seperti itu. Ya, berikutnya saya tidak akan bercerita tentang ini adalah Richard Feynman itu adalah nano scientist, dan dia mengatakan bahwa di balik ilmu pengetahuan itu banyak sekali rahasia-rahasia yang sebenarnya kita itu kadang itu menemukan sesuatu itu bukan melalui kesengajaan, tetapi melalui serendipity begitu. Berikutnya, iya. Sehingga kemudian yang perlu kita kembangkan ketika kita berada di universitas, ketika kita berada di library atau perpustakaan, ketika kita berada di suatu komunitas ilmiah, itu adalah bagaimana sebenarnya kita itu bisa membaca perkembangan ilmu itu tidak cuma 5 tahun ke depan, 10 tahun ke depan, 20 tahun ke depan, tetapi bagaimana kita bisa membaca trends, bagaimana kita bisa membaca future requirements, bagaimana kita punya clear understanding atas transitions yang terjadi di dunia akademik, di berbagai persoalan daily life dan sebagainya. Demikian, dan berikutnya ya. This is one of our products. So our research group is now is already commercialized one of our products, bone graft products for Indonesian community, and it is already in an e-catalog. So this is the bone graft developed in our country, and also we are now trying to move to another Asian countries for this product. So this is from our university dari UGM untuk Indonesia, and then berikutnya, yeah, and this is our incubation center wherein we try to combine the scientific discovery with the development of the society and community. Ini ada manufacturing juga di UGM yang di situ kita menggunakan tempat tersebut tidak cuma untuk riset tetapi juga untuk pengembangan berbagai macam hal, termasuk untuk riset commercializations. Dan satu hal yang menarik adalah ketika kita sedang mengkomersialisasikan hasil riset itu kita tidak berhenti, karena kita harus punya yang namanya web information tentang commercialized produk tersebut, yang itu harus terus menerus kita develop, termasuk frequently asked question, data-data ilmiah dan sebagainya. Ya, demikian kira-kira. Terima kasih. Berikutnya, ya, berikutnya lagi, ya, berikutnya lagi. Terima kasih. So this is from us about the impact of the open science, open innovations for the scientific discovery and development. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we start to discussion. The audience can give us your opinion, your using like me.
Yeah, my name is Ahmad Shinaidi from Department of Architecture and Planning, UCM. I would like to ask in English language. Abdul, maybe you as a researcher or as a director of transdisciplinary movement ini atau bagaimana? The second question is apa pendapat Ibu tentang the existing in UCM bila itu kan kotak-kotak sangat tebal sekali, kotak-kotak sangat kuat sekali. Nggak tahu kenapa gitu, tapi apakah itu juga akan menghambat the development of such movement gitu. Lalu apa sih kira-kira kebijakan untuk menembus entah itu pohon ilmu atau sampai ke kotak-kotak yang sangat kuat gitu. Saya kira itu dua pertanyaan. Terima kasih.
Thank you. My name is Eko Handoyo from Semarang State University, or formerly Internasional. I'm a graduate and still confused in University. My question for Professor Lambert. You said just now that this is the era of organizers, if I don't mistaken. For me or for a librarian like me, especially a university librarian, sometimes we have a problem about, you can say, how to gain a journal, scientific journal, for example. In the era of organizers, for library, for university library, we have to subscribe a scientific journal that is for us to be very expensive. That is maybe not a problem, but a serious problem. In the one side, this is the organization, and in the other hand, or in the other side, this is we find difficulty to access the journal. We have to subscribe, and it is limited time, maybe for 1 year, until past 1 year, we have no right to access again. Yeah, that's the problem. And I want to know that the policy in your country, how about subscribing a journal for library or organizers, or is that similar in our country too? There, sometimes we have to subscribe a journal, scientific journal that is expensive. Yeah.
In Germany or
in Germany,
Germany.
Especially in Germany. And for Professor Ida, Professor Ika, Dr. Ika, dentist, mungkin dalam bahasa Indonesia. Ya.
Rapopo.
Bagaimana menurut Ibu sebagai usahawan untuk universitas ke depan, apakah itu merupakan ada proses lagi, apakah itu dalam tanda kutip posisi usahawan akan semakin tergilas gitu dalam beda, karena sebagai padahal itu diambil oleh mesin seperti yang tadi disampaikan di Jerman, di mesin barangkali suatu kita di Jepang semua, barangkali di Jepang sudah ada.
I'm a librarian from Bogor Agricultural University.
Name, please.
Some name Mustafa.
Okay.
Simple name. Librarian from Bogor Agricultural University, small city about 60 kilometers from the capital. I have one question for Professor Lambert and satu pertanyaan buat Ibu.
Okay. Listening to.
You have explained about open science and open access. Yeah. With this open science, let me say open science movement or something like that, do you think that EBSCO, Gale, Elsevier, Science Knowledge, and many other commercial databases will finish, will end in 5, 10, 15 or 20 years from now, we hope that as librarian, we hope that we do hope. So we don't need to buy million rupiah, million. Kalau bahasa Inggrisnya million, billion. Very, very expensive for us. Pertanyaan kedua, mungkin saat atau ya pertanyaan ke Ibu. Dengan apa ya, semangat open tadi, open science apa. Kalau kami di IPB, saya rasakan teman-teman dari IPB kami adalah berenang Pak. Datang sini karena kami anggap ini sangat penting. Kami berenang datang dari luar. Kami merasakan di IPB itu masih ada resisten dari banyak dosen, masih banyak yang resisten untuk menaruh datanya secara terbuka itu. Kita semangatnya kalau library itu information terbuka. Jadi pernah kami dimarah-marah gitu. Nah kalau di UGM kira-kira gimana trennya gitu? Apakah juga lebih protektif atau udahlah sekarang seperti caranya Profesor Lambert lebih bagi-bagi ilmu Tuhan gitu. Saya kira itu Bapak. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih pertanyaannya. Ini memang kalau kita melihat bagaimana posisi pohon ilmu, saya sendiri merasakan bahwa di satu sisi ketika kita bergerak di profesi kita, artinya misalnya saya sebagai seorang dokter gigi atau biomedical scientist, saya tetap harus memahami apa saja yang ada dalam ranah pohon keilmuan saya itu yang justru dengan basic atau fundamental seperti itu, maka sebenarnya kita akan lebih mudah untuk mengembangkan ilmu pengetahuan tersebut dengan bekerja sama dengan bidang-bidang yang lainnya. Nah ini sebenarnya juga menjadikan suatu pertanyaan Prof, bagaimana kurikulum kita itu harus kita kembangkan. Apakah kemudian misalnya sebenarnya S1 itu apakah itu memberikan fundamental atau principles dari misalnya profesi arsitektur atau profesi kedokteran gigi dan sebagainya. Saya rasa memang kita tetap perlu memberikan itu dan mereka mengetahui hal tersebut, tetapi kemudian mampu bekerja sama dan membuka diri dengan bidang-bidang yang lainnya. Saya justru mau masukan nanti dari Prof. Ahmad Junaidi bagaimana sebaiknya. Dan memang terasa sekali bahwa kemudian ketika kita merasakan lintas disiplin, transdisiplin begitu, tembok-tembok itu begitu tinggi. Nah inilah sebenarnya yang di dalam kerangka dasar kurikulum UGM yang saat ini sedang menunggu finalisasinya untuk disahkan oleh Senat, yang pemikiran, maksudnya itu kajian-kajiannya itu memang muncul dari Pusat Inovasi dan Kebijakan Akademik di Universitas. Itu salah satunya adalah bagaimana kita bisa menyediakan mata kuliah lintas disiplin, interdisiplin yang itu dikelola di level universitas. Jadi segi administrasinya, penjadwalannya dan sebagainya itu berada di universitas. Misalnya saya sebagai seorang dokter gigi, saya pasti memerlukan pengetahuan tentang banking begitu misalnya. Saya ada dokter gigi yang memerlukan pengetahuan tentang banking. Tetapi selama ini kesulitan saya sebagai mahasiswa kedokteran gigi, ketika saya ingin mengambil pengetahuan tentang banking tersebut, ternyata ketika saya masuk kelasnya semuanya itu adalah akuntan atau manajemen begitu yang sudah di semester 4 misalnya. Sehingga mereka sudah tahu terminologi-terminologi tentang banking yang saya sebagai anak kedokteran gigi tidak tahu. Nah, persoalan seperti ini harus diangkat ke level universitas sehingga misalnya kemudian mata kuliah tentang banking yang interdisipliner itu betul-betul ditujukan untuk awam yang tidak perlu lagi mengetahui terminologi-terminologi tentang banking, tetapi filosofi tentang banking, filosofi tentang bagaimana cek itu harus digunakan dan sebagainya itu kita kemudian menjadi paham. Atau misalnya saya seorang dokter gigi yang nanti harus bekerja di suatu daerah. Saya perlu tahu tentang GIS misalnya. Geoinformation System untuk menentukan kebijakan. Tetapi saat ini ketika saya masuk ke Fakultas Geografi misalnya, maka kemudian saya akan mengalami kesulitan karena saya tidak tahu terminologi. Oleh karena itu GIS untuk umum itu harus diangkat di level universitas, dan kemudian nanti saya sebagai mahasiswa kedokteran gigi akan dapat memanfaatkan ilmu tersebut untuk bidang saya. Ini salah satu yang kita usulkan Prof di dalam kerangka dasar kurikulum UGM, dan mudah-mudahan nanti bisa merupakan awal bagaimana kita bisa menembus tembok-tembok tersebut. Kemudian Pak Eko Haryono, pertanyaannya sulit sekali Pak, saya tidak bisa menjawab dengan baik mungkin, tetapi justru di masa depan kalau menurut saya pribadi, persoalan kemanusiaan, persoalan bagaimana touch terhadap suatu pustaka dan sebagainya itu justru menjadi penting. Mesin saja di masa depan tidak akan bisa menyelesaikan berbagai macam kasus, begitu. Atau pengetahuan-pengetahuan tertentu, justru fondasi kita, bioethics misalnya, kemudian kemanusiaan dan sebagainya, itu kemudian menempatkan pustakawan itu justru menjadi penting menurut saya di masa depan, begitu. Saya tidak tahu, mungkin ini bisa menjadi debat, tetapi di persoalan-persoalan ilmu pengetahuan tertentu itu ketika kemudian scientific discovery itu sudah ada, maka persoalan berikutnya adalah persoalan etika, persoalan tadi akuisisi data, kemudian persoalan sharing data dan sebagainya, itu tidak bisa diselesaikan oleh mesin. Itu harus diselesaikan oleh dengan dengan pendekatan bioethics dan sebagainya seperti itu, yang ini hanya dimiliki oleh kita ya sebagai manusia seperti itu. Saya tidak tahu bagaimana ke depan tren ini, tetapi kalau saya pribadi memandang justru ethics and humanity itu kemudian akan menjadi peran yang sangat penting, baik itu di laboratorium ketika penemuan itu sudah ada, apakah ini sesuai dan sebagainya. Apakah saya bisa menggantikan misalnya darah, saya menginginkan suatu bagian tertentu, apakah saya bisa menggantikannya dengan makhluk hidup yang lainnya, bagaimana saya memperolehnya, bagaimana saya melakukan risetnya dengan menggunakan animal model dan sebagainya misalnya, itu kemudian menjadi sangat penting. Pak Mustafa, persoalan Bapak tampaknya tidak cuma persoalan di IPB, tetapi ini merupakan persoalan kelembagaan kita di Indonesia secara umum, persoalan individu juga secara umum. Kenapa ini terjadi? Karena memang academic atmosphere itu belum terbangun dengan baik, Pak. Ketika seseorang itu ingin berbagi sehingga ilmu pengetahuan itu berkembang lebih cepat, bagaimana dia bisa berbagi kalau kemudian saat berbagi itu kemudian idenya itu justru diaku oleh orang yang lainnya, dan ini sering terjadi di laboratorium misalnya. Oleh karena itu di tempat kami Pak, di laboratorium kami itu, ini nanti akan menjawab pertanyaan Bapak, bagaimana kami mengajarkan kepada mahasiswa itu untuk menulis logbook. Logbook itu diperlukan, yang kiri itu adalah rencana, yang kanan adalah apa yang terjadi, begitu. Ketika misalnya saya dengan Pak Sulhan sama-sama ada di laboratorium, kemudian saya menemukan sesuatu, misalnya ketika zat ini dicampur dengan ini, saya tidak mengharapkan begini, tapi kok kejadiannya begitu, dan ini justru merupakan penemuan, begitu. Maka saya mau tidak mau harus segera meminta tanda tangan Pak Sulhan, atau kalau Pak Sulhan yang menemukan, harus segera minta tanda tangan saya. Mengapa? Kalau saya tidak meminta tanda tangan Pak Sulhan sebagai witness dari penemuan saya itu, witness of our scientific discovery, maka kalau saya nakal, apa yang ditemukan Pak Sulhan itu bisa saja kemudian, wah saya dulu menemukan ini, saya tulis dan sebagainya karena saya ada di samping Pak Sulhan waktu itu, misalnya, sehingga itu menjadi publikasi saya, menjadi hak milik saya dan sebagainya seperti itu. Academic atmosphere yang seperti ini yang belum ada Pak, saya kira, dan ini merupakan persoalan utama mengapa kemudian kita tidak bisa trust kita kepada orang itu juga tidak bisa terbangun dengan baik, dan ini harus kita mulai berantas bersama sejak di bangku sekolah, begitu. Saya kira itu saja Pak.
Oke.
Matur nuwun.
Thank you. Dr. Ika. Mr. Lambert.
Okay,
this word.
Okay, great. I want to make just 3 or 4 statements, and I try to make each of them very, very quick, because I know we are short on time.
10
First things first, just a formality, but let's keep that clear. I'm not a professor. I don't hold a professorship. Okay. I'm just an academic librarian with a background in social science. So, second, I'm really grateful for your talk, Ika. That I think that was great, because it turned out that everything in this media revolution that unfolds in front of our eyes in this time that we live in makes things complicated for researchers. Yes, it gets very, very complicated to keep away from misconduct of research in many ways. Let's keep this clear, because this is not trivial. Yes, from first sight, you may think about this digital revolution. Everything becomes very, very easy. Because on first sight, you have this very nice, intuitive interfaces. You have the Google search with one button, search. You have Twitter and Facebook with one button, post. So everything seems very easy all of a sudden. No. It turns out quite counterintuitive. That is just exactly the opposite. This is not the age of easy. This is the age of very, very complicated and tough questions. And now the point is, in a way, the research community will find their solution to these kind of questions, one way or the other. This is how revolutions work. And the underlying technology, things change. People will find a solution. So much is for sure. The only open question is, can we, as librarians, deliver good solutions, or at least part of the answer that is needed? This is now our opportunity. This is the hour. It's the most exciting time to be a librarian, because these are the open challenges, and then we have the opportunity. We are given the opportunity, the historic opportunity, to add to the solutions to this problem. So, and this is why I like this talk, because this is really, it lays everything openly out, and yes, you just have to listen to her, and you can be grateful that you have her here. It's just great, and you should learn from her. Yes. Okay. Then, I was asked, will the old business models of things like Thomson Reuters or Elsevier all of a sudden end, and then something else takes the place? That's a tough question. I mean, maybe you heard from the business part of the newspapers a few months ago or so that Thomson Reuters is pondering the questions if they want to sell Web of Science. And let this work in your brain. Yes. What does it mean? There is this Web of Science, which is the cornerstone of academic careers since like 10 years or so. Yes. This one product from the market of abstracting and indexing databases. And from the perspective of Thomson Reuters, this is just one small business asset where they ask themselves, do we really need it? Is this even profitable? Yes. And this shows something. This is really telling. It shows that we are in danger. When we, for data like that, it's like, for instance, citation data, and that is also important. That's citation data, journal citation data is at the core of Web of Science. This is why it is used so heavily all over the world. Yes. And following from that data, Perch index, journal impact factors, and so on. Can we really rely do these tough applications like research assessment of researchers and so on, can we really rely on that? Or should we not find a solution that is based on open, truly reproducible data? And if we come to this answer, then maybe we librarians, we as librarians, may be of help. Yes, we can work on that. And it's quite possible. There's a chance. There's an opportunity, really. And I only speak about this product because there are many products. But this is in particular interesting. Yes, we are at the brink of maybe replacing Web of Science with a more open product. I'm really convinced of that, but I have no more time to go into detail. But there is this possibility. Okay. So next. That was one. I was not really quite sure if I understand it well. There was this question, okay, open access is not fully there. How, as a normal university library, can we even afford the access to expensive papers, which is immediately needed, not only after an embargo period of 1 year or so. And this is this tough, pragmatic question of the everyday librarian, yes, and I don't have the key to that kind of question. I would like to know the answer as well, yes, and even we at TID, German National Library of Science and Technology, have sometimes a hard time to go on, and we really have to think about, can we still deliver this or that database? Yes, it's like that. So, and okay, there was this question about cooperation between researchers and librarians, and this is sometimes feels like tough, yes. And this is a good question because the premise of this question is that this kind of cooperation is really needed. Yes, we have to look out how we do this. And I give you one simple rule of thumb. This is just I have not the time to really argue about that why exactly, but just this is my opinion about this. Yes, there are only two types of researchers that you have to take serious at your faculty. The one kind are the deciders, the leaders. Yes, and in some way, as a leader of your library, you have to keep in contact with them, and you really have to think like a statesman for your library to keep in contact with them, and really talk with them, go to them to lunch and so on. And the other kind, this is at least that important, are the young, bright, digital pioneers like her. And this kind of researchers, you really have to take serious, and with them together, you can move things forward. Yes, you can approach what is really needed, what are really solutions that are needed, and then all the other researchers, nothing against old people, but these kind of researchers who are really not interested in being part of the digital revolution or anything, yes. And just, okay, you can discuss nights with them, but what do you aim by that? Really, you have to answer that, and you go better, from my opinion, with keep a very good contact with leaders and work together with the young, bright digital natives amongst the researchers. So the last thing was this question about the curriculum. This is a tough question again. I have always this feeling about the curriculum. We have this cooperation in Hanover with the University of Applied Science, where they educate the information managers as well, the medical information managers. And I think the most important point is that you give the people, from my impression, I'm not a university professor, as I said before, but to give them the opportunity to excel with their skills towards real-life problems, to invite them to join your library, use their young and fresh workforce, and let them solve your problems by these students. Yes.
the best what we can do for them. And
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lever. Okay, our us may be librarians, and the problem today is depend on our attitude, our mentality. Is a problem of opportunity. The open sign is like a destiny. Paradigm shift like a destiny. Is like a given to us. Digital technology make us aware. Maybe we can make it a problem or make it opportunity, depend on our attitude as a librarian. If needed something, we get it quickly. Maybe this is a closing statement with me. I'm not resumed. All of us have a conclusion in our brains, each other. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sorry.